Then welcome everybody for another episode of the Group Up Podcast. Hope you've had a fantastic day, evening, afternoon, wherever you're coming from. And I've assembled another stellar cast for you guys to break down and discuss Overwatch as we approach our 6-month anniversary, right? Like Overwatch 2, I saw the dev blog post mentioning that it's been 6 months. Time is flying by, man. Time is flying by. In the bottom right with a shaved and clean look, ready for scrims. He's trying to optimize. He's trying to aerodynamic himself for his scrims. Is Samito in the bottom right. What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
I'm good. Sipping his drink. In the top left is the powerhouse of Flats, Mr. Famous streamer going on famous award shows and whatnot, representing the Overwatch community. How you doing, Flats?
I'm hanging in there. I'm coming off being a little bit sick, so my voice is still a little, but I'm good.
That's what happens when you go outside, man. That's what happens when you touch grass.
Not happening again.
Never make that mistake again. And in the bottom left, with the musical background and the musical tones that she brings to every discussion, is Fareeha. Fareeha, what's up?
Hey, it's going good. How are you?
Very excited to have you on. I had to go. We usually Frito is the triumvirate that finishes it off, but had to replace the F with the F. Like Fareeha for Frito. So I think that rolls off the tongue nicely. All right,
Nice.
people. So, Season 3, we're approaching the end. We're approaching Season 4 when we'll have another new hero. But Season 3, let's start with the discussion. How are we feeling, again, on that 6-month anniversary? I'm going to take it to Flats first, because I haven't heard from him in a while. Haven't spoken to him in a while. Flats, 6 months, and Season 3, how do you reflect on either or both right now?
I was kind of hoping you were going to start with Sam first. Man, I got to set the tone for this. Oh, man, that's not good.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I'm like at a 5 out of 10 at this point. I don't know. I'm pretty bored of Overwatch at the moment. Nothing's really been impressing me recently. Kind of feels like we're kind of regressing in a lot of ways to how Overwatch 1 was kind of going. In terms of progression, if that makes sense, like almost like downhill slide. And that scares me a little. So I'm like a 5 out of 10.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I wasn't really sure where that would come from, but okay, 5 out of 10. Fareeha, how about yourself? Your first appearance on the podcast in a while. How do you feel about Overwatch?
I feel like I'm kind of in the same camp as Flats. I'm a little bit bored right now, and I feel like I find myself and a lot of other creators diving into the lore aspects of the game and just anything to spice it up a little bit more, because gameplay-wise, it's kind of same old. Like, it feels like a platform where you go on, you just like log on, play comp, but then on top of that, you're having conversations, and like that's where the juice is. Like that's where the fun is for me. But yeah. It feels super stale right now, and it's a little worrying.
Interesting. Stale is the sentiment so far, Samito. Stale, is that how you feel?
So, from a balance standpoint, I actually think it's really good. I think this is the best season of balancing that they've done in a really, really long time. Like, now, is the game getting stale? I can see why people would say that. Like, I've just been kind of grinding comp, but I don't think that's from a balance standpoint. I think that's from like a format standpoint. Like, obviously a tournament ladder would be very fun. Something to grind towards would be fun. Like, I think at a foundational level, and obviously we didn't get a new hero this season too. So like this definitely was like the least amount of content, because I think all we got. No, Shambali was season 2, right? Shambali was season 2. Am I cuckoo Cocoa Puffs?
No, this season.
Or is that season 3?
Yeah.
Was it season?
Antarctica was this season.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Thank
You're
you.
right. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, my fault. I think if the map pool was gone this season, things would be different or a little bit better. But I totally understand the sentiment of things being boring. I don't think I actually think I've never seen there are more heroes viable right now on ladder and even in like high level play than in beta 1. I think the balance team should be really, really happy with how they did throughout season 3. The drone changes were a little bit meh, in my opinion. Those are scary. I'm always very scared to see those. But I think that they got a lot of heroes to a very good spot and made every single slot competitive, and they should be very happy about that. I agree with a bit of the boredom, though. I've been burning the candle at both ends with like a lot of tournaments and like comp play and scrims, so I need to slow down a little bit before I implode myself in the head. But I think that format-wise, they definitely need to start taking things. Oh no. to
There
the
it
next
is.
level. I think definitely format wise, they need to start looking to take things to the next level. And then when they do that, I think that the game will feel much more fresh and with a new hero, hopefully coming soon. Things will be a lot less boring. But I think from a foundational level, the balance team did well.
See, Samito's praising the balance team, so they're trying to like the gods, the vengeful gods, are striking him down right now. He's just been attacked by some unknown plague to interrupt these kind words.
Yeah, real.
From my end, I actually have been having a lot of fun. But I think I've been trying to make my own fun. Because I think we spoke on the podcast a while back, and Sam was not really happy with me and Flats, who were like, stop taking this game too seriously. Like, it's not a game you're gonna grind forever. And I mean, Sam has been having a lot of fun grinding, so I applaud him. He's been popping off on his various adventures on World Cup trials and whatnot. So he's been having fun on the competitive end. But for me, I just making my own fun, learning new heroes. That's kind of been my journey recently. Just trying to like find new ways to like find the freshness of Overwatch. Because you guys are right, in a content sense, it's stale. But that's where I think Overwatch has that depth, because there's 30 something plus heroes. I forget the exact number, 36 or something.
6.
I know how to play like a handful of them really well. So there's still always an ocean of heroes that I can, dive into, spend time learning, and I've had a lot of fun that way. I agree with Sam. I think the balance has been really, really good. There are some things that frustrate, but that will always be the case. Like, you always will run up against something you're like, oh my god, this thing is so annoying, and like that thing is so annoying. But you're right, I've seen a lot of things get played. I think a lot of the frustration with the gameplay experiences are more to do with matchmaking and the rank system, which still continue to frustrate no end. And I think, in particular, to summarize, before we kind of dive in deeper to what might be the cause of this staleness, I think it feels like now, more than ever in Overwatch, you will just lose a game, and there's like very little you can do. Like, sometimes you enter a game and you're like, this is a lost game, and you kind of have to accept it and just like shrug your shoulders and move on. And there's almost no fighting it. So I'm gonna take to Flats again. We'll go around the circle again one more time, because you were nodding your head there, Flats. So what has been part of the staleness? Obviously, we know there was not going to be a new hero this season, and we will accept that world. That will be every other season will be that for us. But it doesn't have to be boring, right? It can still be fun, but this one hasn't been for you, or medium fun.
Well, I think Sam kind of nailed it too with like map pools and stuff, because there's a lot of games right now where you load in and you lose at the start screen because you get like a Havana and you're like, well, I don't have a Widow player, and they do, so GG, game over. And it's like a lot of things are playable, and like there's more stuff that's viable, but I would argue there's a lot of stuff that's also just really not fun to play against right now. I don't like the Mercy changes. I thought it was bad. The Mercy players don't like the changes. It's less fun. I don't like playing against it. I think it's less fun. I think BAP getting buffed out of nowhere was just a horrendous idea. Everyone also thought like Rush was just like ultra OP strong, and like Ryan was ultra OP strong. And I was kind of like, I don't know, guys. I don't feel like it's actually that crazy. And everyone's like, nah, it was your propaganda. You got everything. And then now we're seeing actually there's a lot of stuff that's probably actually a lot stronger. And things like Sombra are back a little bit more, and a lot of very annoying to play against. Things like Bastion are actually like somewhat kind of viable in certain places, and as a tank player, playing into Bastion is not a great time. And remember we talked last podcast where it feels very much like you're like a puppet for your supports in a lot of ways. That still very much feels very viable, or not viable, like the case, like it feels like it's much more the case than ever. So that, plus I'm actually back to playing more ranked than not playing ranked, because personally, the matchmaking improved, I would say, in ranked. Improved. It's not great, but it got better than the beginning of the season. But like quick play is less fun. Mystery Heroes is less fun. Stream mode still sucks balls. It's awful. It's useless. It's literally a cosmetic feature.
For, right? Exactly.
It's the same thing as rank. Your rank is a cosmetic feature in Overwatch too. So is streamer
Sometimes
mode.
your teammates are cosmetic too.
Yeah, not wrong. I don't know. I've just honestly, I don't want to like say the word disdain, but I've been getting really pissed off recently. It's just like all the little problems that happened at the start of the game were kind of covered by the honeymoon phase, and it's like no longer and longer we come down the line. Like for example, we saw in like the recent like developer talks in the blog, like, oh, they're thinking about bringing back like the ratings of the teams. Like you can see what level of a lobby you're in. That shit we had in Overwatch 1. Wait, why are we looking forward to that? Wait, what? I didn't even think about that. Like that's something we used to have. We're getting it back as a new feature. That feels like NHL 14 when they took away like my player and then brought it back the next season as a new feature. It's like, wait, what? That's not a new feature. That's an old feature. So I don't know, dude. How do we make this season more fun? I did some custom games PvE yesterday with Seagull and Emong. That was a good time. But I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a little nervous. I'm kind of a little bit nervous at the moment, uh, and I haven't been able to make as much of my own fun as I normally would have been. And I feel like I'm almost getting pigeonholed back into just playing ranked again, and that's not good because ranked is not as fun with how it's the state of it. To the point where I'm like, I don't want to play this right now, and I haven't had that feeling yet in Overwatch 2. And I'm nervous that I'm going to get that feeling more long term and be like, maybe I don't want to play Overwatch as much anymore.
It's interesting and potentially alarming signs again. I think the Overwatch community would always be alarmed when it's awesome big creators are thinking about not playing, as we had in the, let's call, Valorant Gate era when the twit longers were aplenty and everyone was shipping off. Also, be prepared, Flats, for the old content branded as new when they eventually and inevitably bring back 2CP. It's happening. Like I think it's happening at some point. 2CP is coming back and they're gonna be like, new content, fellas, we got you.
It doesn't even work in Overwatch 2. It's not a viable game mode. 2CP was almost all tank dependent. Your tanks were the ones who guided you into the fights, took positioning, contested point. Now you only have one tank. They either have to contest point or contest their team. You can't do it anymore. It's going to be ass. It's going to be awful. Like it's not a viable game.
I think someone needs to tag J3 on that little particular rant. But Fareeha, do you? I know, right? Do you mirror Flats' sentiments there about like just how it feels playing ranked and how some of the balance concerns as well that he raised?
I think they shipped the game out with a nice little bow, and they beefed up that package as much as they could. They were like, bam, here's a bunch of new maps, here's a bunch of new heroes, a bunch of new shit. Get excited, and look at this wonderful map of content that we have planned. But it's like, you could see it even from the very start when they first gave us the overview of like, it starts to trickle as you go. And I feel that ranked as a game mode, even if they do a good job of balancing it, it's gonna get stale for people because Overwatch sometimes isn't fun to be a fan of, the same way that, hear me out, League of Legends is, right? League of Legends game is like the worst part about it, but like being a League fan in every other aspects, like the cinematics, the shows, the music videos, like the lore drops you get, the characters, everything else is so exciting. And I think if Overwatch had more about that, there would be less pressure on the ranked system and on tournament modes and all this kind of stuff and gameplay and variety, less pressure on that stuff to really make up the experience, right? Yeah.
It's a very interesting point. Yeah, it's a very interesting point. Flats, you want to quickly agree before I let Sam chime in?
Honestly, kind of nailing it. Like there's like, okay, I'm gonna be point blank honest. Us little Overwatch creators are like literally tiny. Like we, in the grand scheme of things, I learned that from that Streamer Awards event. We are nobody knows us. We don't exist. But even worse though is we're all basically in this one trick land where we all just have to play ranked, and that's what in Overwatch 1 we were taught to only play ranked because that's all the community cared about. In games like Apex, like people play pubs. Like Asu basically makes his whole brand is going into pubs and just absolutely destroying, and it's hilarious and it's awesome content. We only have ranked. That's it. And even our competitive scene, like Overwatch League, and first off, Overwatch League and ranked and content are completely separate. We're not going to be able to reestablish that with it being on YouTube. We're fucked. We're in different lands at this point. So there is no end game for the ranked content. There is no end game. We're all just in this endless, like running around circle. And if ranked sucks, it gets a million times worse, and there's no other options. So Fareeha's nailing it. Like we can't. There's no lore to talk about. There's no fun things like outside of just being good at video game to talk about. Like it's kind of insane.
Interesting. I mean, Sam, you've been nodding, so I want to let you have your piece. What do you think about all this?
Back in the day, I used to be like so into the lore of the game, and I definitely think that that's something that we've kind of missed on, right? Like I heard so many cool things about Arcane and League, and I don't know if you guys, I've never played Dota, but did you guys see the Dota show on Netflix too? It is awesome. It is freaking sweet. It is beautiful. Like the animation of it, like it's awesome. Even Cyberpunk Edge Runners, like that was a fan favorite that just came. I think it won an award actually, at some whatever the anime awards are. And I can agree with that, right? For me, like even like as a very competitive player, um, I used to be like very into all the stories and like the discussion of heroes. And sometimes, when I hear the heroes talking in game about like what's going on in the Overwatch verse, like it intrigues me still a little bit. So there's still like the little bit of spark there, and I'd like to see that get fleshed out one way or another. I don't know what's going on. It's I just had pad thai. It's the pork belly. I can feel it. Sometimes it just does not agree with me. But yeah, I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see the world be built on, because it really was special. Like what made me get the game was the Dragon cinematic, and I think that cinematic was the second best cinematic ever made, because I don't know if anything's ever going to top Skyrim. I don't think anything can ever beat how hyped the Skyrim cinematic was. That was the best cinematic ever made. But I hope to see that, and I think that the community could definitely benefit from more stuff like that. And Overwatch is very one-dimensional with its interests, I think, right now. Not that that's necessarily not that they've done that interest poorly, in that at least people are playing the game again. Like there's a consistent content coming out, and we're coming out of map pools, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm excited to see. I think this kind of needs to go into Gear 2. I think we're definitely out of the honeymoon phase, and we're heading into Gear 2. And I think they did well to launch in the first 6 months, but I'd love to see them step it up and spice it up, get some heat in there going forward. So I agree. I think there's definitely a lot more to do.
I think to try and devil's advocate here, I think the devs would say that they have released a lot of lore, but I think it's more buried. It's like it's a lot of like novels, short stories, comics, stuff that perhaps
This isn't canon.
Yeah, or the Lover Watch, as Fareeha is pointing out too, which is like which was really
They
fun.
weren't canon?
Lover Watch is
they were
not.
very much-
Lover Watch is not. No. Go ahead, Fareeha.
Okay.
Oh,
Fareeha,
yeah,
you want to elaborate? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my fear is like they're putting all of their eggs into. They're doing the same thing they did when Overwatch 2 was in the works, and then there was like that big content drought for like a year and a half, where they're putting all their baskets into Overwatch 2 PvE, and they're like, this is the big lore drop and everything. But what if it's like a situation of like, what if it's like a Borderlands game where you play it once and then it's done, right? And you've got everything you've got, and then you just watch the rest of the cinematics or like voice lines on YouTube because you're like, oh, I can't be bothered,
Yeah.
and that's scary.
I agree. I love like because I think the way that you all put it is great. Like it's kind of buried, right? Like for the Dota show, like which is, by the way, watch it. Fantastic. Seriously, so good, so good. And Arcane and like the cinematics. I think why Overwatch is so popular. Would you all say that in terms of the lore and the story, the cinematics in Overwatch are like the cream of the crop, like perfect, like those. I would love to see. And I get that's probably high budget. This is way out of my, I'm the kid that got to be in art class. So like, just for context, I think I would love to see some eggs in that basket too. I think it would be really, really sweet with like Arcane. Like you can't tell me they wouldn't nail it. I wouldn't believe you. I just wouldn't believe you. I would love to see that happen. Just some kind of like very forefront out there, watchable, lore content would be freaking sweet. I'd love it personally.
And I'm sure the devs would agree too. And I feel like this is another case of like having to start Overwatch again almost from the ground up. Like I feel like in many ways from the dev side, it is like Overwatch 2 wasn't just a new game for the show of it. It was literally like a reset for them, because I'm guessing like, I think the COVID era and the, Jeff leaving and all that, I think almost that was like a whole moment of upheaval where they had to spend 18 months or whatever just actually restructuring everything in the team. Okay, well we're going to ship this new game, we can't keep working on PvE forever, we got to make PvP. Okay, who's in charge now? Like who's doing what now? And I think that for them, like I'm sure they are probably like, yeah, we'd love a cinematic, we'd love a bunch of cinematics too, Samito. We'd love a Netflix show too, Samito.
Yeah.
And I get, and I guess like, what do we know? Like I'm sure we're all like, put it out, and they're probably like, we know, and it's hard, and you don't know about this, that, the other that goes into making it. And budget, blah blah blah. But you're right in that they've been trying to give us stuff. They've been trying to give us these, like I said, these comics. There's a lot more voice interactions. You got to credit them for. Like, I know they put like
Those are
10,000.
amazing.
The voice lines are amazing. We keep
Yeah, they're
finding
cool.
new ones. They're really really awesome. And that's I think what draws. It's almost like the tease, right? Because they show us like a like there's the surface of like these characters interacting and referencing things that we haven't experienced, and it's like that tease because we're like, oh, that sounds so cool. It sounds so cool that you guys did this thing that you're referring to, but like where is it? Where can we see it? Where can we play it? Where can we get our hands on it? So it does almost feel like, you know, we're being teased by a lot of lore, and maybe they're doing their best to like give us like whatever they can until the PvE drops, these bigger picture things drop. But you're right in that from the experience of playing the game, we don't get that like wider engagement with Overwatch, right? Like the closest thing we get is when the Play Overwatch Twitter account creates a homing missile that homes in on May, right? Like that's like the closest thing we get to like, whoa, they did something that's like, you know, something different. We don't really necessarily have a lot to spend our time on, and that alludes to Flat's point, which is, yeah, we don't really have a lot of like, I don't know, creators who just only play the arcade. I'm honestly, Flat, your adventures in Mystery Heroes have been like the closest we've had to anyone kind of really diving deep and substantially into the fringe modes of Overwatch. So like, do you feel like that's something we can actually change, or is that like a part of the culture of Overwatch that we'll always just be like comp grinders?
I mean, the culture can always change, right? Like it takes time, but it's like getting people introduced to that is definitely hard because people like to become like comfy, right? Like if your audience is so used to ranked, right? They're gonna come in and have it to me all the time. It's like, is Flats taking a break from ranked? Why is he not playing ranked? Why? Excuse me, streamer, why are you not playing ranked? Why ranked? Hello, streamer. And it's like that. It can be obviously frustrating. It can be like, you know, like, oh, your people are not going to be happy with this type of content. But at the same time, though, it is better content. Like you're everything can be solved pretty much by making better content. And if you actually know how to make better content, and like you can kind of feel it, right? Like sometimes it happens with everybody's like you have a passion project, there's something you work on, it doesn't do that hot. It's like, wow, it didn't do that great. Why did it not do that great? Was the content not good, or is it not match your audience, right? Like there can be times where you make something that's really, really good content, but maybe it just doesn't hit with them. You know, like if you make something about like mystery heroes, right? And I would say Sam, because Sam is, I would say, really much like a rank grinder. Most of the people who watch Sam, I would imagine, mostly want to watch people be really, really, really fucking good at the game and kill things and maybe learn from him because he does a lot of unranked GMs, stuff like that. If you just hop into Mystery Heroes and just start having a good time, you'd be like, where's my ranked? You know what I mean? But it's like you could be the best Mystery Heroes player of all time because you're good at everything. It could be fun. Like for example, what Emong was doing, and I did it too, was uh, could we get every single ultimate with every single character in one setting, right? And it was all RNG, right? Like because like it was funny for him because we went 3 sessions without him getting a tracer once. But people loved that. They were like, you know, like holy shit, he can't get tracer. It's so funny. And it like built up to that moment that when he finally got tracer, like everyone, he has it. Wait a minute, it's possible. And then there was one time he got it like a 90% like 90% capture point percentage. Like, you know, after the game was about to be over, and it's like, no way, you can't get it now. You know, and those are cool moments. Those are fun moments for people. Um,
Tells a story, yeah.
yeah, it's a good story, and honestly, storytelling is a big part of content. If you're just playing ranked all day long, it's not really going to do that hot. And also, I'm gonna hit the bingo card early. The reason why I personally want a lot of like stuff like stacking and whatnot is the culture of Overwatch changed, I would say, around the time XQC became a big streamer in Overwatch. He was a solo queue streamer and then duo queue with like Moxie and stuff. And I actually truly believe that that had a big effect on the culture of Overwatch because Overwatch was a stacking game until around that point in 2018. 2016, 2017, Overwatch was a stacking game. And then around then, like people saw the biggest streamer was always solo queue or duo queue. You know, doesn't want to look boosted, doesn't want to like, you know, like, oh, I like to solo only. And a lot of people mimic that. And actually, even a lot of the pro players that came up, I don't know if you guys saw Dante's tweet like a couple months ago, but he was like, he hates that. Like, he was like, the new generation of pros frustrates him because they just sit out of voice the entire time and like never join voice and they don't really try hard. That's true. I can't tell you how many games I play at this point that are silent. No one says a word. And that is not what old Overwatch used to be. So to me, I want stacking back because I get to control my experience and I get to create those stories and those narratives. And that's what makes good content, not me stomping the ladder. I don't want a 5-stack with Emong and Seagull and Jay and Karq or Sam to stomp the ladder. We're going to get fucking rolled 99% of the time. I promise you. But those 1 or 2 games we get where we might win or it's a close win and we all have a good time, that is the stories. That's what's enjoyable. That's what's fun content to make, but also playing ranked at the same time. So I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but I feel like we've lost a lot of that type of stuff in Overwatch, and there's just no stories to go to.
I want to hear from Fareeha, but first I'll let Sam chime in because we've hit the bingo card. The flats question, the Samito question, whatever you want to call it, about stacking has been raised. And Sam, you've been engaging in some. I mean, you've been on fire on Twitter recently, but you've been engaging in some stacking discussions on Twitter too. I mean, what have they been?
My bingo card.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what happens when I start scrimming and playing 8+ hours a day. The filter that I built in, it just goes away. I can't do that and do this. So you really nailed it. And what people don't talk about, and this makes me really sad to think about, is the amount of little communities in the Overwatch scene that died when they took out stacking. We used to have the Get Money Discord. We used to have there was we called it the IRS stack of Boostio, Kaluge, and all those guys, and they would just because they take all your SR. There was the Last Tim stack. There was the Hot Gator Sugar Free stack. There were the Kefri Troll stacks, right? The list goes on and on and on. And, those were just such an important heart and soul of the community. And it really sucks to see that not be there. And it just makes me kind of sad to think about it because look, it's not at this point, I know the arguments and I get it. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, right? Are we really going to act like the rank's not coin flip right now? Are we really gonna say that it would be? Look, if my games are gonna be coin flip anyway, I would rather the latter be in a state where people have heart and they're trying and they're doing the best they can to win. If I'm gonna automatically win or lose a game, I'd rather have that happen, and I think actually would solve a lot of problems. But I'll bring that up in a question form later for you guys because I've been thinking about it a lot. But I think the narrative part is so true. So true. Everyone was able to find I say everyone, but a lot of people were able to find little communities of friends to stack with and play with, and that's what gaming's about. That's just what it's all about is with your friends and doing it together. And it just makes me really sad to not see that. And here's my point too. Here's what I challenge everybody. Okay, if you don't want us to stack at high level play, apply the same treatment to every single rank too. Because it's true, maybe probably less true in lower ranks, but the double standard there of, only the high rank players can't do it, where most of the content creators reside, in terms of the bigger streamers, that's where everybody is, right?
Sam, there's already an example of this. You want it?
What is it? Go.
So I remember we all complained about the 3900 system in Overwatch 1 and said it was terrible. We all were complaining. We're like, dude, resetting to 3900 literally does nothing because your MMR is still in the background, 44, 45, 4600. And one of two things either needs to happen. One, you need to lose a bunch of games to realign your SR and your MMR so that you can reclimb. Or you have the Hawk theorem, I'm going to call it, where Hawk was so good, he never really lost many games. So I played a game against Hawk on Hanamura one time where he had 4 diamond players and I had 6 top 500s and we spawn held them on Hanamura.
Did he go Hog?
He went Diva, Hog. I think he rolled on Orisa at one point, got desperate. You know what I mean?
The whole board.
He tried everything. He probably had an MMR of almost 5,000. You know what I mean? It was probably at the ceiling. Yeah. And you know what? We said it sucked. We didn't like it. Everyone's like, shut up, stupid creator.
And they get it.
And then they did it for everybody, and everyone went bananas, and now they're removing it in season 4.
You know what?
That's
Here's
a
our
perfect
play.
example.
Here's our play. Blizzard, apply it to everybody. It's a double standard to only apply it to us and not apply it to the whole ladder. Apply that to the entire ladder because the people's arguments that stacking makes the games more coin flip, it's true in every rank. So apply it to every rank. I bet it wouldn't last 2 weeks. I give it 7 days. 7 days. 7 days.
I like this. I like this a lot.
That's our only angle. Listen, just apply it to everybody. And look, again, I just want to reiterate, it's not perfect, right? But the pros drastically outweigh the cons, and it just is what it is there. I don't know. Did you all see the clip I tweeted last night of the Nixel 3 stack, and they got Clank on their team on Paris, and then he charged straight down mid on Ryan and Alt F4 at the start of the game?
I haven't seen that, but Before I give my take, I want to give Fareeha the chance to chime in because I will try and push back against the stacking propaganda to try and bring some balance here, lest I be accused of a one-sided debate. But do you have any thoughts that you wanted to chime in?
I completely agree with the idea that it's all about spinning stories and narratives, because my favorite games are the games where like I pick one player on the enemy team to just have a death pact with. And it's like, say you're playing on Esperanza and you're Sombra and there's an Echo and you're both fighting for that health pack or fighting for control of that area. And you just like, you can weave a story out of just targeting that one player, and it makes it so fun. And playing with friends and other creators facilitates that. It facilitates those rivalries where, oh yeah, there's a diva on the enemy team who just keeps eating your goddamn pulse bombs and you just want to get a stick on her as she's demeching, right? And it's just like, things like that are so fun when you get to have bigger stacks. And yeah, I want to see more of that.
Okay, so to the point of like, well, okay, Blizzard, why the double standard? Why does it not apply to everyone if you're going to apply it? I guess the counter argument would be the difference, and I think Gavin, I remember last time he is actually in chat somewhere. I don't want to put him on the spot, so don't chime in, Gavin, unless you have the mental fortitude of an absolute block of steel. But
he does.
I remember last time we were talking. He said, "Well, what do you do with the alpha stack, right? What do you do at the highest end? Typified by the New York Excelsior stack. All the old Overwatch OGs are like the New York Excelsior stack, the like Jonak Carpe stack that like terrorized everybody." The difference between like when you're in plat, you can find someone higher ranked to match the like, let's say the best plat stack. You can still pull the diamonds in to match the plat stack, right? But the problem for the high end of the matchmaker is when the New York Excelsior stack, literally the best stack that could possibly be assembled, is playing. Who do you put to just guarantee they lose against them, right? Like that is, I think, the reason why they don't allow it at the highest end. Yes, Sam.
Here's my answer. Ready? So first of all, if we remember, again, AL players contractually could not stack more than 3. And in 5v5, the league could just say you guys could only duo, which means the only people who could stack, you could even make the same rule for contenders players if you really wanted to, I guess. But you know what your answer is? You pit them against the AL players. And I guarantee you the AL players will probably have a better time playing that game than having Hawk get 4 diamonds, right? Because they all don't play the game anymore. And I've talked to many contenders players and AL players, and they just don't try and rank. They don't care, right? Because you know what? It's better than getting the Diamond 1 player who just runs the game down and it's instantly over, right? And it's the idea that you have to somehow punish everyone, especially at the highest level of play, right? For a niche situation that I'm not trying to say that there's a right answer or that it's perfect. Again, totally acknowledge it. It just doesn't function better. And let's say, give it that point, SVB, I'll give you that fault. That is a much smaller problem to have than having absolutely zero narrative and content creation abilities and storylines behind what high level ranked is. And I want to give him credit too here. Look at what's happened with the Pro AM. This is the most interesting competitive Overwatch that I've seen since GOATS meta, in my opinion. Right? And that's because a narrative has been allowed to be built of the contenders teams where everyone on Reddit all this time said, there's no way contenders teams could beat AL teams. They never saw the scrim codes, right? Listen, back in the day, I have some scrims of even me whipping on some AL teams, right? We just beat Vegas in the World Cup. Shout out to those guys. I hope they do well this season. But like, finally we got to see some narrative and some spunk in that at a high level play. And we want to talk about the gap between AL and like the average consumer base, right? It's because you can't build any narratives on high level play anymore. You just can't. And it's very boring for the person to watch, just a bland version of ranked, which is what this is. And it's just that simple. So even if we concede that point, which I'm not willing to, but this could go on forever and I don't want to get on that. It's not better off. It's just not.
Mm-hmm. And just for clarity, Gavin says, I said it on J3 and SK stream, but we know not being able to play with your friends and tell those stories like Flats and Fareeha said sucks. And we do have a plan to let GMs play together that we're working on, but not in regular competitive yet. So yeah. I think it's totally fair to have like a compromise. I think because it is a philosophical, like again, any game that has stacking at the highest levels has this sort of, either people hate it or people love it, or like either they hate it or they don't have it and they want it, right? Like that's usually how it goes. It's like we had Overwatch 1 and people like the narrative was people were complaining, then we lost it. And now people are like, we want it back. So it always kind of,
100%.
yeah.
It's fine to try.
So hopefully we can we can find that balance. I want to bring up the pro am since Sam brought it up now. Flats Free, did you guys watch it, or did you have any interest in it before I kind of set it up?
I heard about it. I heard about Infected taking the shock to town. That kid's awesome. And actually, like, this might sound really kind of weird, but it actually is kind of really cool as a streamer and someone who plays like a lot of ranked and stuff like that, to bump into like a lot of these kids when they're like kind of young and like they're like literally just like they're still in school and shit. And I think he still is, but like they're literally like just playing ranked every day. They're just like everyday people. And then like a year later, like they just been grinding like crazy, and now they're taking on Overwatch League teams and popping the fuck off. That shit's so cool. Like it's almost like prideful. It's like they grow up so fast, you know?
Yeah. And that's what you used to see in ranked when they were like, what do you think the hot Gator sugar-free stack was? They came from console and they came in here, invented goats, and then went and rolled everybody and beat Fusion University. And guess what? You would log on the game and you'd see a streamer playing the hot Gator sugar-free stack. And guess what? It was entertaining. I hate to bring it back up, but that's the kind of narratives that happen all the time.
You're not wrong. People forgot that. Sam, that was over 3 or 4 years ago. Like a time capsule at this point.
God damn.
I wasn't even a streamer when those were going on. Think about that.
Me either. I was not. I mean, so actually, you know, we'll bring the pro am in a bit actually, because there's another thing I want to talk about, and I want to ask Fareeha's opinion on this, which is that obviously we've spoke a lot about we speak from a content creator perspective. Obviously, that's what we are. It's hard to remove ourselves from our experiences. We see what we see, but the sentiment that you expressed at the start about, you know, lacking story, lacking like a wider connection to the game, almost it's not just for content creators. Like there's plenty of people, I mean, from what I gather, the one of the reasons the matchmaking has been sometimes scuffed, again depending on who you ask, is that we don't have that many people playing comp this season. And that means that, you know, not just for the high end, but just regular players are finding that reason to play Overwatch a little bit stale right now. So like, how do you assess that factor? Like what do you think is happening for the normal player, and what can be done? And I know the devs have talked about this themselves, about wanting to create meaningful reasons, but like, how do you feel on it?
I can't help but feel that Overwatch would be really overwhelming for new players, like right now, the way it is. But on the flip side, for us, right, we feel that the game modes aren't diverse enough, or that we want more. We want more variety. We want more game modes, whether that's like multiple capture points, like kind of a King of the Hill situation, but there's multiple hills, or whatever it might be. And there is the challenge of balancing that. So I really don't know. It's a really tough dilemma to have.
It is tough, and that's again the perpetual fight that Overwatch always has of like a competitive game versus a game that's like puts fun first, right? Because the more, you know, they've alluded to adding more game modes. Well, how many game modes can you keep adding before we're now measuring like a different set of skills in your gameplay?
And
right?
I can't help but feel like a game by game situation, kind of similar to the bounties that you have in your gauntlets. Those are so clever and so well run. Like if they implemented a randomizer where they select someone on the enemy team and they like give you extra battle pass XP or extra whatever it is, whenever you target and get a final blow on that person, right? And then have rewards and all that kind of stuff. It could just spice it up a little bit more. But as of now, I don't know. Maybe we're just jaded and we've played this game too much, and so we want more. But it's hard to tell.
That is true. I think again, it's so hard to get like a truly objective perspective, because like whose perspective are you talking about, right? We have our perspectives of like having played the game for 6 years. We've all joined as content creators at different times. You know, Sam and Fareeha, you guys have been there since predating me and Flats. We're kind of a little bit newer to the content creation side. And then there's the bunch of people who've never even played Overwatch 1. They never even or they joined late into Overwatch 1, right? They never maybe experienced Ghosts. They never experienced Open Queue. Like so many things they may have missed out on. And so like there's these different stages of like what is new to certain people, what isn't new. It's also like alludes to, actually we'll talk about it now. We'll get to the pro am in a bit, but like other thing that I think is underlying all this is this discussion around SR inflation. And it's we're probably going to be talking about it for a long time until we find whatever solution we think is correct. But I think a part of that, and again, to clarify for anyone who's like out of the loop, is just like a lot of people feel like, you know, everyone's SR has been inflated. You know, we've had a huge influx of new players. most of them are bronze 5. Like I said, when someone is truly new to Overwatch, they're lacking 6 years of built up knowledge, experience, like tactics, compositions that we all take for granted every day. We're just like, oh yeah, they do that, you do this, like easy. Like that's an easy way to approach that. But for them, it's brand new. And so there's a lot of players who are like bronze 5, and consequently everyone has been kind of shunted up. Everyone else, almost kind of got shunted up for free. And there's been a lot of these discussions of like SR inflation. And I think part of that comes from all this that we're talking about, the inherent context that we take for granted, that I don't know if can ever really be bridged. Maybe it will over the next few years, where I just feel like the people who played Overwatch for 6 years, they have so much on the players who haven't, that we'll never be able to like, or maybe like, it'll take a long time to bridge that gap. And so we have this high end of Overwatch players who are so much better, basically, like so much better than any like new player coming in or long time returning player can even ever like be right now. And I wonder if that's causing some of these frustrations, but maybe that compounds as well to this whole people not playing a lot. And I'm curious, Flats, of your POV about this. Like, yeah, it's kind of hard, isn't it, to kind of take all this history into account, especially when we're talking matchmaking as well.
I mean, God, Overwatch is one of those games though that like most people think they know what they're talking about.
Oh
Truly.
yeah.
And there's even GM players that think they know what they're talking about, and they literally don't have a fucking clue, So it's like, and I'm not taking any shots, but there's even content creators who give really, really takes that I go, what in the world are you talking about, And it's a hard question. Who do you listen to? Do you listen to people that have like a track record of being right, or do you listen to like, like where do you go for your input from people, And it's like, from a dev's perspective, right? Like some of us have more Overwatch experience than even they do, because a lot of them are new from Overwatch too. So it's like, for us, it's really frustrating because you can go, I have been around this game longer than you have. And it's like, not because it's like an ego thing, but it's just the truth. But who do they listen to? Who do you turn to that have all these like years of experience? Because they all have their own perceptions of things. It's like, who do you cater towards? Who do you try to move content towards? I honestly don't even know at this point. But without it any direction, it kind of sucks because everyone's trying to be catered to in some way, and they're trying to make everybody happy in a lot of ways, and it just kind of won't ever happen. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen in YouTube comments, TikTok comments, whatever. It's like, Overwatch 1 didn't do well because they catered to all the pro players. That's if you ask them, they're gonna go, what the fuck are you talking about? That was actually the opposite. And it's like, because they think Moira's OP. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. A new player is just always kind of fucked, like trying to catch up, like you're almost, unless you literally sit down and grind Overwatch for 8 hours a day, every single day for at least a year. I really don't see you coming in and being able to pick up this game like right out of the gate and do well, unless you were like a former pro player in another game and like you have a lot of those like very healthy foundational tools of how to play a game. Like it's gonna be impossible. So I think as Overwatch gets older and older, it almost becomes like League. I've never played League. So what Fareeha was saying earlier, League looks very interesting to me from like their Netflix stuff, like from their lore, their LCS, like the tournament, like their LCS, the major, like the big one. Like you see like the concert, like what are they gonna have, like Ariana Grande this year? Like I don't know. They always have some like A-list celebrity going crazy, like top of the line. It's like almost better than like the NBA finals. But to me, I've never played League of Legends. I look at that game and go, I have no clue what I'm looking at. And like, if I even touched that game, my small little brain, my Overwatch brain would probably melt. And I think we're getting to that point where Overwatch, where we're almost going to be too far ahead for new players to want to really play. So like, do you now look towards the older players because they're actually your dedicated base? I don't know anymore, So I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings and opinions on this whole thing. None of them are coherent and, at one spot. So I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Well, the one thing I will object to, Flats, is you're saying DJ Khaled, it does not count as A-list to you. Like, what you gonna put some disrespect?
Was last second.
Well, there was a story that was meant to be Khaled. It was meant to be Khaled, right? Like the story was that was meant to be Khaled, not DJ Khaled, but there was a mix-up. Like they heard, like someone was like, we should get Khaled to perform from the Overwatch League finals, and someone was like, "Oh, so DJ Khaled." Hello guys, SVB here. Just want to quickly interrupt this episode of the Group Up Podcast to say that if you've been enjoying this content, then please do consider supporting me directly via Patreon. It really does help since Patreon only takes about 10% of your money, where YouTube and Twitch take 40 and 50% respectively. So it supports me and allows me to keep making videos no matter how many views they do or don't get. Also, if you are really enjoying this discussion, then why not consider watching some of my other content? First and foremost, my Twitch stream where this podcast is hosted live, and I stream 5 days a week doing a bunch of other things as well. If you're not much of a Twitch viewer, then you can check out the SVB side channel, where all the best bits from the stream go straight to YouTube in highlight format, including VOD reviews, gameplay, and streamer formats such as the Fantasy Overwatch or Rank Gauntlet that you may have seen other streamers participate in. And finally, if you're sick of Overwatch, then you could check out my other channel, The Soak, which is where I do movie and TV breakdowns. And I've done videos on things like Avatar The Last Airbender, Pixar's Up, and anime like Haikyuu. So if any of that sounds up your street, then all the links are in the description. But now, back to the discussion. And that's how we got that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because that is the League of Legends problem, actually. Like, so I know their problems are getting new. Dota has this for sure. I'm more familiar with Dota than League, but their problem is getting new players to play because it's so daunting, like you said, Flats. It's like, and we are. I think the good thing about Overwatch is that it's very deceptive in how it invites you, right? It's like there is a lot of heroes and stuff, but you can start very small, which is just pick one hero and play them. And there's no like items and stuff like that where you really have to worry like about, because once you lock in on League of Legends or whatever, even your hero, yeah, they have 4 abilities. They all have like these tool tips that you got to learn. But then you get to the shop and you open the shop. It's like 200 bazillion fucking items that they all combine into recipes. And you're like, what the fuck am I what am I doing? Like, obviously they have ways to try and alleviate it. They try and give you like recommended items. They're like, okay, do this, do that. They try to simplify the game. But still, compared to Overwatch, at least you kind of lock in and you just, you running around or whatever, Lucio, you're trolling around, whatever hero you decide to pick, you just go. And you learn that here. So at least we have that. But you're right in that we're getting to the stage where the implied knowledge base is so wide that I do wonder what it's like for a new player. Sam, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on what we're discussing.
I have to pee real fast. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So I had a couple buddies get into Overwatch. From a new player standpoint, actually, my buddy Pat Flynn, my roommate's cousin, he hit Diamond for the first time. He Snapchatted me Diamond 5, and he's just been grinding and liking it. It was definitely hard at first. Like he was hard stuck like silver, for a minute there. Then he just kept learning and learning. So I think in old 6v, and this is where the benefit of 5v5 comes in. To where, okay, old gen versus new gen. Like old gen might say they're like 6v6 because I think the skill ceiling's higher and the game's more difficult, but it's easier for an entry level player to pick up this game and just get value, especially with like pretty decent mechanics. Now I will say, Overwatch mechanically is a very hard game. Like the hitboxes for some heroes are very small. Your ability to strafe and accelerate is much faster. We'll take that from our aim assist debate, SVB. Yeah. So I think there's enough characters in 5v5 that allow people to get direct, quick value for the game to be playable and enjoyable. I think the kicker is going to be whenever PvE comes out, and after PvE, I stand by this. I'd love to see some form of Overwatch BR. And you're starting to see this happen, and pay very, very close attention going forward to Roblox, to Fortnite, and to Minecraft, who have all innovated extremely well from the original format of Minecraft that made it the most successful game in the world to this day, in that you had the Minecraft server networks, right, where you could create any type of game mode. Like when I worked for Mineplex, and that's how I kind of got my start. I played like a game that was like Overwatch before its time. There were 5 different kits. It's called Mineplex Champions, and you could customize, like you had ability 1, ability 2, passive A, passive B, passive C, and global passive. And there was like hundreds of abilities in the game that you could choose from, and like all these custom kits. It was an insanely high skill ceiling game that we like to joke that it came before its time. There was so much stuff that you could do, and that's what made Minecraft so successful. There were so many servers that could do so much, and you're seeing it. Did you guys see the lookalike to like a Call of Duty made in Roblox? It literally looked like Warzone graphics.
Dude, I saw that's crazy.
Yes. Yes, that's what these studios are capable of because they build a foundation to build out so much more, and that's why
Do you want to
Roblox has.
do you want to quickly explain that,
Yeah,
Sam? Because they basically, if I correct me if I'm wrong, they basically
yeah.
made Call of Duty in Roblox, and it looks so good
It
that like
looks
people were
like
like,
Call of
this
Duty.
looks.
So
People were
cool.
like, this looks better than Call of Duty. Like it
It
looks
looked better than
better.
Warzone 2. It looked better than Warzone 2. And like, this is something I've talked about for Overwatch that I wanted to do for a while. And people are like, what are you talking about? We're kind of ranked OTPs right now. We're ranked. We're
Yeah.
ranked in quick play. That's it. I mean, arcade
Yes.
used to be kind of popular, but the most successful games in the world build foundations to build out almost anything, and they empower their community to do it. That's why the workshop was so great for a long time. And a big shout out to the guys that made the workshop. It was really, really fun. But there's a whole nother level to it, and that's the most successful games in the world. So I would love to see. I forget what was the starting question. I just got a little. I got excited.
Well, it's not really even a question. We're just kind of spitballing about
About new players. Yeah, sorry, I lost my
new players.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to see stuff like that come to Overwatch. I think you can pick up this game right now and get the core. I still think it's the best like team-based shooter game out there right now that you can just pick up and play. I still think it's more fun than Valorant. I still think it's more fun than TF2. And you can't quite get the experience that Overwatch gives you somewhere else. I would love to see them potentially expand even past PvE and just empower the community to do it, because if I've learned anything over my years, it's that you need other people to help you reach the potential, because you can't do it alone, because two minds are greater than one. And there's so much more potential in
Sam, I feel like they don't like us though.
who.
Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like they don't like us. Like, I feel like
That's fine.
like
They're entitled to
imagine
their
like if
opinion.
no, I like imagine like what if we let it? What if we made shit that was just better than they did? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that Blizzard doesn't like looking bad in any way, shape, or form. Like Fortnite,
the Dota
Fortnite
problem.
put out its creator mode, right? Like they're trying to rebuild. I heard that since it just went out like the other day, they're trying to rebuild the original Fortnite map, and apparently like there's some struggles with like it's hit like the maximum space you can make for a custom game mode, so they have to cut a few things. But they're trying to already rebuild all these cool like
Yeah.
memorable historic moments for the game so people can go back and play them. Like, I don't know. I feel like we've asked for certain things like imagine if we had a goats mode, right? Like we could go back and you could
It'd be
play old
sweet.
metas like
It'd be
goats or
sweet to do
dive,
that.
and you could go back
Just
and like,
weekend tournaments, right?
yeah,
Of specific metas.
weekend tournaments of these old metas, and like people could show
Yeah.
off like, oh, they were super good at these certain things, and it's like you could kind of relive the history of what the game was. We've never gotten anything like that. Zero. And it's like
Yeah.
I feel like people have tried to rebuild that, but it's never like I don't know about Workshop's limitations, but it's always felt like a
It
little
wouldn't be the
clunky or a
same.
little off. And
A
they
public
definitely could
ladder.
fix that. They could fix it and give those creators those workshop creators that power, because they're insane. They're actually so fucking smart. Like
They're
You
so
remember
it's
cool.
zombies? Do y'all
yeah,
remember
you could do
zombies?
Oh my
crazy
God,
things,
yeah.
but those tools don't exist in that system. I don't think now I might be talking a little bit on my ass here, but the workshop mode we have, I don't think is as complex as anything like those, like Roblox especially, or even Fortnite. Like even Fortnite's is like a little bit different, but like we could never build to that level because you don't have those tools. And if you gave those tools, would you look like are you going to do the job better than they do? And I don't think they'd ever want you to do that. Like they don't like looking bad. That's like the Blizzard ways. You don't want to look bad for shit. So it's like I hear you and I agree with you, but it's like I feel like it wouldn't happen because like imagine we build shit that looks better than theirs, So like,
Story time. Can I quick little story about?
Yeah, sure. And then I want to hear from Freya, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm in the bathroom real quick.
So, in 2016, there was a big shift in at least the Minecraft community, and that's when they first changed PvE. Microsoft had acquired Minecraft, and they really cracked down on their EULA, which restricted server owners and creators about what they could sell and what they couldn't. Because to be fair, there was a lot of pay-to-win stuff, and they didn't really like that. Roblox took advantage of this. Roblox had existed before Minecraft, and it wasn't as popular. What they did is they said, hey, you creators, you can sell whatever you want, make whatever you want. Well, you empower us, right? We'll do it together. And you saw a major trend in multiplayer, in where server numbers on the Minecraft servers collectively all tanked, and simultaneously you saw Roblox skyrocket. And ever since, Roblox has been unstoppable. They're boasting 40 million, like I think either monthly or daily active, but I think it's monthly is probably a more accurate number. I forget which one it was. But we went to TwitchCon that year, and we tried to talk to one of the Minecraft developers about the PvP updates, what Roblox was doing, enabling the servers, and he laughed in our face, and we were like, dude. And that was what made me switch to Overwatch. Actually, I saw that happen. I was like, they're gonna lose. They're like, this is just gonna be bad. And it just is crazy to think about enabling your community is just a better option. I mean, look at me. Like, I make mistakes all the time. I say stupid things, I do stupid things, but like, it's a part of life. Like, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna make mistakes. That's like, you just got to keep moving, right? And I'm not sure if what Flats says is true or not. I don't really know. I can't speak for other people, but I would encourage people at home not think that way, because that's letting your pride get in the way, and that's one of my fatal flaws too. So, if you want to reach your potential, if gaming's taught us anything, it's by enabling those around you and enabling your community to go out and make things great, because there's always something new. And that's what's so fun about this industry. That's what's so much fun about content creation, gaming in general. There's always more, right? And you can't do it alone. So that's just, I really hope that we don't have that mentality. I'm not saying we do. I don't think we do. You guys would know better than me. But yeah, I just empowering people, giving them the tools to make more things is always so much more fun and always so much more creatively intuitive. And I suck at art. Okay, I suck, and I know that, right? So that's my thing.
So,
like if we didn't empower stuff, Fareeha couldn't make her awesome songs with Fitzy, which are still my favorite, by the way. Those are too
thanks,
funny.
man.
And Fitzy's
So-
dances are legendary.
yeah, bring back Fitzy's TikToks, by the way. That's
real,
a petition we should all sign.
Real.
But
Good content. It's water.
I will try and again provide some balance here, which I think is, what you're saying is of course great. And again, I'm sure the devs would say, sure, buddy, like I'd love a map editor too. Like I don't even, maybe Flats is right, and maybe they are. And I do think Blizzard are very control heavy compared to maybe any other major AAA developer. They like control more than anyone else.
Oh, absolutely. That's not even up for debate.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be very comfortable with the idea of like people running wild with their stuff. But it is another thing, like, Minecraft, Roblox, and even Fortnite. These are games with much more built-in creativity. Like the game was made with more like sandbox in elements in them already. Like your whole point was you do what you want, and that's obviously why they've been so successful. Right? Fortnite kind of different. Fortnite slightly different than the other two, but certainly Minecraft and Roblox, they were like, you guys make the stuff, and people have run wild with it. It's been awesome. It's given them the longevity. Overwatch, I feel like they're struggling with just the short-termism of like the kind of the market and the AAA like tropes that we've kind of spoken about before, where, okay, well, we already took like a 2-year break to make Overwatch 2, which is largely PvE, to give us this like foundationally new thing. That killed the first game, got everyone mad, alienated an audience, and now we're in this new live service model where it's like, okay, we're going to deliver, a new hero every other season, new maps, blah, 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 this, that, the other, new game modes. And then you're like, okay, well, now give us a map editor, right? And again, I don't know what the technological demands are. I imagine they're incredibly heavy. And to give the time to make that, it's like, where is the time? That means another year of them literally never making any other content to give us the creative freedom to make a map editor to then make all this other stuff. And they can't afford to do that, because now the model that they're being given is like, no. We need you to make sure every single season hits these number of concurrent players, hits this number of skins sold, this amount of revenue. And if you tell us that you want more dev resource to invest in a long-term project of a map editor that will give long-term benefits, we don't give a shit. That's not our priority right now, because that's kind of that tends to be how corporates think. It's just like, that's not important to us. We want the things right now. And that's my best guess of what's going on behind the scenes. But I'm open to being wrong. I really don't know. But Flats, you're kind of nodding, and then I really want to let Fareeha go. But you kind of have something to say on your tip of your tongue.
Yeah, I disagree with that only because to Fareeha's point earlier it seems like they're putting all their eggs in one basket. Like how much is still being dedicated to PvE? Probably a lot, right? Like I don't think it's unrealistic to say like those things should be happening in tandem. Like Fortnite didn't slow down its events, it didn't slow down its tournaments, it didn't slow down its map changes, its seasonal changes, its updates, its collaborations, and now just put out a creative like build the whole game mode. So like I feel like it's one of those things where it's like they probably just don't have enough resources, and they probably just don't want to hire more people, because hiring people is one of the most expensive costs in business. Is manpower costs more than anything else. Like that's literally it. And it's like that's also probably why they probably do more contracting than anything. Like I've seen people from Twitter that like, oh, I made this skin or whatever, and like a lot of those times it seems like those people are contractors, and it's like, so they don't have to hire them as artists, they can contract them out for certain things so they can keep their costs low. But like if Overwatch 2 is doing as well as like they've touted, if you're making more money and the company's making more money, I've learned this in even my own content because I run 3 daily fucking channels for YouTube, 4 technically if you count clips, is
God.
when things do better, then you can expand and make more content and distribute it more, and it grows. But like it seems like they want the growth, but they don't want to increase the costs. So it's like they're just trying to capitalize on the extra growth and then just like move on it instead of actually like rising the tides together, because those numbers could go up because more people are playing, more people are enjoying, but they don't want to raise the cost number. So they're just trying to just make it happen, you know? And it's like, I don't know. To me, it just seems very, very weird because those devs are probably super overworked because they are all great people. But again, it's still at the top. It's the top leadership, the big corpa that continuously fucks over and over again because they don't want to hop onto a quarterly call and be like, "Oh, we hired 500 more people, and now our profits for this quarter are a little bit lower, but that's okay. In 6 months from now, we're going to create all this extra stuff, and it's going to go way back up." They don't care. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear every single call. Corpa going up, numbers going up, boom, boom, boom. They don't want to hear it down because then the stock price goes down. Like it pisses me off because I know how the shit works. But like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like the reason why we're not getting it is because they can't do both at the same time. But the way you solve that problem is you bring in more people so they can work on all that shit, or at least contract it out. But they don't want to do that because they don't want to raise the cost. But they probably are. They're probably farming money from all the shop and the events. The battle pass, I don't think it probably does like all right, like the battle pass probably does pretty good. But like when they dropped like the Doomfist, like One Punch Man stuff, I bet that Witch Kiriko skin from Halloween probably made him a few million by itself. Like you're not fooling anybody. So like I don't know. The whole thing pisses me off. Anyways, you go for it. I keep taking time. I don't mean to. I'm sorry.
No. It's
No.
fair to go off. It's the
Amazing
Elon
things.
Muskian approach to managing a business of just like keep farming it. But Fareeha,
Don't get me
what is your
started.
take on all of this?
Oh my god. So back to what Samito said vis-a-vis Minecraft, Roblox, and how that dev just kind of laughed in your face. Like, I think what you said is absolutely right. Like, you need to empower more people to do more than just what remains in the ranked sector of a game. Otherwise, it just gets so narrow, right? It's like, how do I say this? I think Overwatch is subject to basically the same trap that anything that's been around for a while is subject to, and it's the fact that when something exists, say it's a donut, right? The longer a donut exists, the more delicious you expect the donut to be. Like the more perfectly cooked, the more balanced in sweetness and in flavor and everything that you expect it to be. And a perfect example of this is in figure skating, right? When figure skating first originated, you literally just had to skate in a figure eight. Like that's what the name meant. You skated in a figure eight or you skated in a perfect circle, and that's literally what the Olympics were. It's whoever could skate in the prettiest line. And now you have people doing fucking quadruple axles and like throwing out their necks trying to do these like extreme maneuvers. And I think in a way that's what Overwatch is also experiencing in a way, because look at ranked and how easy it was to have fun with it in like season 3 or 4 initially, right? It was so simple. It was way easier to just like not get mad at dumb shit that was happening because it was just everywhere. Like nobody knew what they were doing. But the longer it goes, the donuts expectations become grander and harder to fulfill. And if you let it go up that scale in expectation without giving it the room to expand. This metaphor is a little bit flawed, but you get what I'm saying. It's like it's getting pulled in one direction, right? And it's like finesse, and then you have like a pro scene that isn't properly supported, right, or properly advertised in many, many ways. Like I think there's so many things flawed about tier 1, tier 2, even like tier 3 esports, and you don't support that end of the rope, but then you also cut short the end of the rope that's like lore creators, like give us art contests, let us make music, let us make comedy skits for Overwatch, make it yourselves, right? Like all that stuff with the map editor. There's so many forms of content that can help diversify this donut, but right now it's just this donut and
There's no sprinkles on the donut.
there's no sprinkles,
There's no sprinkles on the donut.
there's no variety.
Yeah.
Fareeha
And I
taking the
love
let her cook very literally here. She literal cooking was occurring here. Yeah. Also, straight out of Everything Everywhere All at Once, I feel like this almighty donut that must encapsulate everything. No, I think you're totally right. Like the longer the game goes on, the more you need to keep adding stuff to draw the person in. Because if they were, and that's kind of what the PvE was all about, right? It's like if you weren't drawn in by the PvP Overwatch, 2 years later, you're not gonna come now. It's gonna be like, oh fella, come play our PvP. Why? We added 2 heroes. I didn't like the third you had before. Like, I don't care about the 2 new ones. Like, what do you mean? So like you have to add the new thing, and then we don't have the new thing. And I mean, Sam, you were kind of nodding along, so I want to let you chime in as well.
I just let her cook. My analogies are getting a run for their money right now. Like I gotta step up my game.
Yeah.
The donuts.
I'm hungry now too. I might order some Krispy Kreme tonight.
I
We'll
got some
see.
Dunkies this morning. It was fire.
Are you a Dunkin' guy?
I'm a New England. Of course I'm a Dunkin' guy.
You're a Dunkin' guy. It's all the Northeasterners that are Dunkin' people.
There's
Everybody
12
I know.
within a 1 mile radius of my house. I'm not joking. Yeah.
Well,
12. But there's only one I go to because they make everything right. So if you're in New England, you know what I'm talking about. You have your Dunkies. There's your Dunkies.
that's not the first time I've heard that, so I'm gonna have to believe you. Listen, back home in Lexington, got a place called McGee's Bakery or Spalding's Donuts, the best, right? But regardless, back to the point here. Oh my god, I'm thinking about food. I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying?
The donut and expanding and
Analogies, donuts.
needing
Oh
more.
yeah. No, I mean it's just I just allowing us to make our own stories, and I think it's crazy that you all phrase it that way because I kind of realize that's kind of what we've been arguing for stacking this entire time. It's a very small part of a bigger picture that I think that we just weren't acknowledging, and you guys are right. It would just be awesome to see. Like it's just the best communities in the world do this, and I know that. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, the devs need to do this. You know what I mean? They got a lot on their plate and stuff, but I think there's plenty of time to work on that. But I encourage and hope that they find a feasible way to do that, and hopefully they don't get shackled by whatever the heck is going on at ATVI right now. So SGB, would this be a good segue to the acquisition being approved in the UK, which I actually had not seen yet, which is a good sign in my opinion. That's a good sign because if there's already a Microsoft product that adheres to that model in Minecraft. So, fingers crossed. I'm hoping. But if you want to segue to that.
Yeah. No, so this brings a good point to another point that people, I think, in chat raised more rightly is that perhaps another reason why they're not expanding too much is because they are about to be the subject of an acquisition, which is a fair business practice to not hire a bunch of people, then have new management, and then potentially sack all those people. So that does make sense, and we can follow the logic, but. For those who've been maybe wondering, because we've been talking about the Microsoft acquisition for how long now, guys? Like pre-Overwatch 2, we've been talking about this.
August of 21.
Yeah, it was pre-Overwatch 2. We've been talking about this. So, it's still been mired in sort of the admin processes that take place in this. And recently there was a breakthrough, which is that if I read correctly, the UK has basically said there is no conflict of because basically the UK has been. And a lot of Europe as well have just been kind of skeptical about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard because they feel like it could potentially be anti-competitive. It could, especially Call of Duty has been the big, stumbling block, which is like, well, if you take Call of Duty, will you still let Sony have Call of Duty on their platforms? And, what would that be anti-competitive if you took it off there? Would that make too much of a monopoly? And apparently recently the UK have kind of ruled that actually this is okay. We're okay with the promises that Activision Microsoft are making that they will allow Sony to always have Call of Duty on their platform. So they've said, it's okay from us. So that theoretically should be a big
10 years or 10 to 15 years is what they guarantee. They've been repeatedly conceding more and more and more because they just want the IPs. That's it. That they lose. Like what again, it's trying to convince big corporate boomers about gaming. You saw the TikTok talk where the guy was talking about Wi-Fi. It's like, guys, come on, we need some Gen Zers in here to at least explain what internet is, right? But they've just kept conceding. So hopefully this thing gets going. But I hate red tape.
Real.
Yeah, just real.com/true, as we say. But
yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Sorry, Sam, go finish your thought.
No, that was it.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm curious because we haven't had Fareeha on the podcast talk about this. I mean, is this an area of interest for yours at all, Fareeha? Like, are you at all keeping an eye to this Microsoft acquisition? Because us on this call, we've been talking about this and this could really change the game for Overwatch. but is it something that you kind of look at as like, okay, this could change all the things you spoke about like, well, can we get a wider ecosystem beyond just the game?
Do we know if King is getting acquiesced?
It would
or
all be
King
part
is
of it,
getting
yeah.
All of it. All of
Oh
it. Yeah.
shit!
ABK, yeah.
Okay.
$80 billion.
Why do I feel like this is a good thing? Shit. Oh man. This kind of sweeping change is scary because you guys remember what happened when Blizzard got acquired by Activision, right? It was scary. I don't know. I feel like I don't think I know enough about this whole subject to speak on it. I've only dabbled in Minecraft and like I was a content creator for Minecraft only briefly, but it seems like yeah, lore.
Fareeha lore.
I'm curious as to what Flats has to say. I'm just here to learn about this. I don't know a lot yet.
Flats?
So, all right, I hear you on the not hiring more people because the acquisition's coming. But the acquisition's been taking a long time and it's dragging its feet. So, like, we've had a lot of time to kind of work on that, and I don't actually really buy that much because Blizzard really don't give a shit. Because they're ending their work from home program, and there's many devs that spoke out about like not wanting to go back. And let's be honest, the reason why work from home is ending is because they don't want to pay for that Blizzard campus and not use it, because I'm sure in Los Angeles a giant campus like that probably costs a pretty penny to have, and they're just basically throwing it away because they're not using it. Two, you get better not work experience, but you get better what's the word when you like hover over somebody, micromanaging when you're in the building with them. COVID and work from home literally proved that work from home is actually more productive than working in the office, especially for something like game development. And there are many devs that already had spoken out when that came out and were like, I will just like straight up leave before I go back. And there are a lot of devs that are leaving. We don't know what the reasons are. It could be because of that, could because other reasons, but I feel like there was such a big shakeup last year with everything that had happened. And it's like then something like this happens, if you lose even more of that developing power that it's spent months or years try to like like get into Overwatch and like catch up and get onto the same page as everybody else. Now all of a sudden leaves, you got to rebuild that all over again. And it's like, so that's why I don't really buy the whole they're probably not going to hire more people because there's an acquisition coming. I just think it's bullshit. I think that they're probably already understaffed already. And like, oh, like, Microsoft come in and make people leave. I just don't think so. I think they're just trying to drive their bottom line down even further, for costs, and trying to squeeze people for as much as possible, because there's many companies across all of America at this point that have learned that apparently they can work on skeleton crews and just kind of maximize their profits, and Blizzard ain't no different from those companies either. So I don't really buy it. I think that they're overworked. I think that the reason why we're not getting things as fast as we should is they looked around at the rest of the industry and said, hey, like, Apex does an update every 2.5 months. Maybe that's what we can do that too, and we'll be fine. Even though theirs are actually way different and their game is way different. So like game to game, Apex feels very different, while Overwatch does not feel that different game to game. And maps can like choose different comps, but it's the same experience, not different guns, different characters. There's a lot of different things there. And so I don't really buy the whole thing. I think it's kind of a little bit of copium corporate bullshit. So that's my whole thing on it. Microsoft could change it, but it's taking so long. I hope I'm still in Overwatch to see those changes, because at this point it might take so long, it might not even be worth waiting for.
I hope that Microsoft will be better to people working on Overwatch and these other IPs than Activision and King have, because I despise King's business practices. Like, they got Candy Crush to be the highest grossing mobile game using the most manipulative goddamn game design tactics. Like, most of Candy Crush's money comes from... Sorry, this is a little bit of a tangent. Can I delve into this a little bit?
Good. Spit.
All right,
All right, let's go. So Candy Crush makes all its monies from microtransactions, from people buying extra turns, and the way that it works so well for them is because they have this whole game that's built similar to the concept of like Bejeweled. Do you guys remember that game?
Yes.
It was like match 3. But the reason Bejeweled didn't do as well was because Bejeweled was a puzzle. Every single time you loaded into a game, the arrangement of how the gems would fall was always the same. So you had to just solve where it was and you could progress. the thing is, Candy Crush realized that if you randomize it, but you get an algorithm that makes it so that the player is always one turn away from a very visible victory. Because with Bejeweled, again, your victory condition was, hey, get like 23 million points, which is really, really hard to see on a screen. Whereas Candy Crush was like, destroy 5 blocks of ice. Right? It makes it so much more easy to quantify for a player and to see just when you're one turn away from winning. And so they use that and they exploit just millions of mobile gamers, and they make so much money doing that shit. And it's predatory. I hate it.
Y'all got phones?
Yeah,
I'm sure that they've learned from them.
Yeah.
and so do you feel like that's something, a trend Microsoft would continue, or do you feel like
Yes.
you just
They wrote an $80 billion check. Yeah. They absolutely would look to find ways to monetize. The question is, could they I wouldn't mind more monetary practices if it's actually enabling your community to build great things and have them win too, the same way that Minecraft did and the same way that Roblox does, minus the pay to win. Then it's okay.
Exactly it.
Like, imagine if they had like a open art program or something where, I guess this probably would never do it, but imagine if like more artists were able to just go create skins on their own time and have them submit for the game, and if Blizzard approves it, they get a kickback on each skin that's sold, right? Now, again, that would be a little bit too much more like Fortnite.
That would
or
never
Wizard
happen,
Overwatch.
Sam. That's
I know it would
big
never
Blizzard.
happen. But just
you're nailing it, though.
I'm not saying just Overwatch, but like Microsoft in general for like all the IPs, like stuff like that. And it wouldn't happen in Overwatch, but in other games, like stuff like that creates win-win-wins that would allow you to sell a quantity that justifies. Like, look, it's $80 billion. They bought Bethesda for 8. That's all. Like, they bought Bethesda for 8 and ABK for 80. Okay, that is an insane number, right? Well, if it goes through, but I think it was 79 technically, but whatever.
Sam, you're talking about like rev share with artists. We don't have a creator codes. That's
Yeah,
literally never gonna happen.
Touche. I just think it'd be cool to
but
see that.
You're right, though. You're right. I think there was a big expectation with going free to play. We're all gonna ramp up. Like, the game makes more money, more content should keep coming. Has the content really ramped up? I would actually argue not really. So hear me out. There's the new seasonal model, right? Which is fine. I think that's good. Every game should have some sort of seasonal model. We still have the mini events, which is great that we don't have to wait for holidays to have events anymore. That's a W. But the hero schedule is kind of back on Overwatch 1 schedule, right? Which is fine. Like that, the Overwatch polishes the shit out of those heroes, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But it ended. Like, there's nothing beyond that. So the ramp up of cash probably has happened, but there was no catch up in content. So you're nailing it, Sam. You're nailing it. Like, we kind of expect more to come, because obviously things are going better, unless they're not actually going better, which I would be very surprised at, because that fourth quarter, I read it here last time. I read that thing from their end of year quarterly call, that in quarter 4 last year they made the most money they've ever made, like ever. So again, corporates going, we are making record profits, and then
800
we don't get
employees.
more. The devs don't get more. They're not getting more people to work with, so they're less stressful. They then now have to commute, which, by the way, commuting in LA, gas is like $5 a gallon, and you spend an hour and a half in traffic each way. So now you gotta live there, which is really expensive. You gotta commute there, which is really expensive, and it wastes a lot of time. You don't have the comfort from home. Where's the benefits to the corporate profits? We're not getting it. They're not getting it. I'm with Sam all the way on this one. I don't know. I think we're kind of getting screwed a little bit, and I want to see more stuff come out, and I also want to see them have a better life. I want to see them like be able to make more stuff, make more cool shit, and not have to sit here and have the conversation of, well, yeah, that could be doable, but what if they have to turn off it like for a year, like Overwatch 1? That should literally never happen at all. So
Another question too. You talked about LA. This acquisition goes through. Are you moving to Seattle? If I'm Activision Blizzard,
I doubt it.
I
Nah.
mean,
I don't think they would do that, but I think
they have a huge scandal in the state of California that's happened to Papa John's. They used to be based right up the street from me in Louisville, and they removed the company to Atlanta after he said some things he definitely should not have said. And they moved the company. It's happened before. If they think the damage to like their reputation is that bad, I mean, there's better cost of living for developers in Seattle. I mean, I'm sure the weather.
Is
I've
it?
heard
I think it's like about the same.
it's the same as no
Seattle is
chance.
very, very
More than
expensive.
Southern California? Is it
No,
more so? Well, it's a big
it's
city.
it's enough that I'm like, I don't know if they would pick up the whole
Well,
Blizzard campus and move it.
Yeah, true. Just theory crafting here, by the way. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
for sure, but
I mean,
all valid questions, But
no, they are, and again, we're not really in any position to know. And again, this is one of those funny situations where we talk devs, and people say devs, but this is like a whole different scale of dev. Like
it's even
we
more
say-
than that.
It's
It's
we say
insane.
we say devs and we complain, and people think we're angry at Aaron Keller and Dion Rogers and like we're like yelling at them like no man, like this is fucking Bobby and Co.
This is board of directors who are all buddies, by the way. It's so weird how all the people that get picked on the board are all friends, and on the boards of other companies, giant
Go
circle.
golfing.
Yeah.
I actually got told that when I was in school, when I was in business school, because I was an athlete, and they were like,
No, yeah.
if you're not playing football anymore, like you should legitimately get into golf. And I was
That's
like, why?
all everybody
And they were
does.
like,
I don't have
"That's
the patience for it.
being
I
good on the
can't do it.
golf course and being timely is actually like very powerful." But
power
Yeah.
moves.
Real.
I mean,
No,
and
real.
so there's a point that you guys brought up about the record profits, but then still we're like laying people off, and we kind of alluded to this a while back on the podcast. But when the work from home policy kicked in, we kind of Sam, Flats, Frito, and I were here talking about it. And we're like, well, what's it gonna do? And Sam and Flats and I were kind of like, I think this is really bad, really really bad. And now we're seeing it kind of kick in where John Spector's announced he's leaving. The most high profile, but there's many of other devs who've decided that they're going to leave.
John.
We don't know if it's a direct constant. They haven't said, obviously, but it sounds very strongly like that is the impetus for them deciding to leave. And it's another way of like cleverly cutting costs. Is like, well, if we force people to go back to California, we they quit, so we don't have to pay their
Record profits.
severance.
Don't have to pay severance.
And now we've cut our employee. This it's just a classic, and I don't want to turn it into like a a massive rant on like culture, like capital culture and like corporate culture of just like the way to make more profits, just arbitrarily cut your employees in a certain amount, and then you're yay, we're spending less and making more, woohoo. But these are it is things that are worrying signs that should be brought up, and that's this that we're losing one of the shining lights of the dev team. Really, like John was, I think, beloved by most of the Overwatch community. They really love what he did with Owl first, and then on the commercial side. So honestly, I guess to give my thoughts on the whole Microsoft thing, anything is surely better. Like Activision have to be one of the worst dystopian like corporations there is in gaming, right? Like surely like
Not just
Activision
gaming.
is one of the worst.
What happened to Activision Blizzard in the state of California is one of the top 5 like in this century, like all time, like up there with IBM telling Bill Gates nobody cares about software, you can keep the rights to it bad. Like it's like my dad follows a lot of this stuff very closely, and I talk to him every day just about like the state of the economy, markets, et cetera, et cetera. And he said that he never, like, very rarely ever sees anything to the degree that happens. So this goes beyond gaming. Like it's a big deal. It's a very, very, very big deal. Like in the big picture of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So honestly, like, it can't go through quickly enough in IMO. Like it really can't. Like again, even if Microsoft is only marginally better, it feels hard to me for them to be as bad as Bobby and the sort of tenure we've had. So hopefully that makes life easier for the devs as well, and all these other big picture stuff that we're talking about. Again, I'm sure the devs want to, but this is an area where it doesn't matter what Team 4 wants. Someone upstairs has to approve whatever the hell, whether it's a Netflix show, whether it's these art competitions, music competitions. Collaborate with your community, let them in on the profits. None of that will ever come through, I think, if Bobby was in charge. So like, we're kind of like frustrated, voters here. We're trying to like, well, just shake the power. It doesn't matter what, because this system ain't working. Shake it up somewhere. Like we need some change. So I hope that does come through. But is there any more thoughts on that topic before we come back to the more Overwatchian world?
I think
From
there's a lot
anyone.
of romanticism in game dev where we see it as this like wonderful job to have, and I'm sure in many ways it is, because you get to tap into your creativity and apply it to all these games and IPs that you really really love with all your heart. But there's a side to it where it's like, I think because it's a newer industry and because it's so just brand spanking new, like the woes of capitalism affect it greatly, and never before do you see just how much the cold machine that is capitalism, that doesn't give a shit about your needs, doesn't give a shit about just its consumers' needs, can take a toll on these people. and what's asked of them and how easily they can be thrown off to the side. So it's just like, it's saddening, man. And I hope it's better after the merger.
Yeah, I don't think it's a long life cycle game deving. Like I think a lot of game devs burn out very quick and they leave the like from what I've seen just on my social media following a lot of game developers, a lot of them are like, yeah, like most people don't go beyond like 7 years because at that point you're so sick of the industry, you're just like just want to peace out.
They use that, they exploit that because
Yeah.
if you love your job and they know you love your job and you want to do it, you can pay you less because you don't want to leave. I mean, that happened to me when I worked in Overwatch League. And when I worked with Uprising, I really wanted to work in esports. I had a degree from what is considered a top 10 business school, and I knew my shit. And they started me and kept me at $15 an hour working there. I used to work like 60 hours a week to get by. But they did that though because I knew I loved Overwatch and I was passionate about it, and they knew they had the right person and they could get away with it. So it's very common.
Yeah. We shrugging.
That's so fucked.
Yeah. Okay, well, since we brought up Overwatch League, I will finally take us back to the Pro AM because we kind of alluded to it a while back. Sam, do you want to explain? I think you've been most passionately following it. Do you want to explain what it was and why it was of interest to you?
So this was the first time since the league's conception that Contenders teams can directly compete against the OWL teams. And I will say what makes that so special is that, a lot of there's always been debate, even back in the Element Mystic days, right before, Sparkle and all the excuse me, holy cow, that just came out real fast. Back when like the Element Mystic days, when like Sparkle and those guys were playing, like the Atlanta Academy team that was insane at Gauntlet, could these guys beat the Overwatch League teams? There's no way they could. There was all this speculation. Obviously, all the Contenders teams knew that a lot of these teams could, right? Because there wasn't that big of a skill difference between the top level Contenders teams. And in fact, they're probably some of them even better than the middle of the pack OWL teams, depending on what season, right? So finally, there actually is direct line in competition from an open division-esque tournament where anybody can sign up and play to potentially competing against Overwatch League teams in an actual bracket. And that's what we saw happen. And you have 15-year-old kids like Infected, who finally, I guess can we say Infected greater than Strider? I don't know if you guys have seen those memes of like from way back. They're best friends, so it's just really, really funny to see that rivalry come out. It's storytelling. It's just such a great story. And like these people have been working so hard for so long, just scrimming. You see them on ladder all the time, and they went up against the $1 million Korean superpower, and they took them down 2-1 last night. And Valiant also lost to Maryville Saints. So that's the third OWL team this year that has actually gotten lost in some semblance of an official. And it's really good storytelling. And I think this is the first time that you've seen like the bridge between the casual Overwatch scene and the Overwatch League actually have a direct connection in an official tournament. And I think this is a great starting path to building that bridge because you get funny stories, you get memes that bring the community together, that make people want to care about the competitive scene. Like I was watching those games, and the past couple of weeks, which is why I've just been playing so much, like I haven't felt that way since like the desire to play and just compete to the degree I felt it. Like I'm laying in bed thinking about it since I was watching Overwatch League like season 1 and like watching Contenders and like having that moment where it's like, oh, I want to play again. And I think the more that we see this, the better it is. And big shout out to whether it was Sean or I'm not sure who it was or Brad that said, hey, let's do this. Brilliant. And please continue to do more. It is so much fun and so interesting to watch.
Yeah, and
YouTube.
Yeah, no, you're right. You know what? Can I say this? I had an original take when it first went over there that YouTube was going to be a better platform for it. However, YouTube has not stepped up their streaming game for like actual streaming and finding visibility. And this is coming from the YouTube streamer. I've been on YouTube for 4 or 5 years now, right? Twitch is better for Overwatch League. The value of the product is better. The esports is best on Twitch. It just is. And that is just the cold hard truth. And if YouTube wants to change it, they can be better. That's just what it is. It is what it is. And I'm biased towards YouTube, if anything. And I'm telling you, it's better on Twitch. It just is. So I think that I know the money is very important, but also I think what's more important than that is organic growth. And you grow organically better on Twitch. You just do. It's more interesting. It's better for the community. And I implore that this might be another one that's over everybody's heads. Like it's not worth the paycheck to do it on YouTube right now, and that's coming from a YouTube streamer. They failed their esports program, and it's better on Twitch. This is what it is.
Flats, is that kind of like your take on it, where it's like that's just the most key thing?
My take on it is Overwatch League is no longer gets to act like the dominant big, we're trying to mimic professional esports. We are esports league anymore. Piece of dust just flew down, scared the shit out of me. You got no sponsors and you have no contract. Drop the fucking ego. Literally, I would have went multi-stream. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. No deals with any of them. Multi-stream it to all platforms. Get as much viewership and eyes on your game as you physically can, and then take that to market and look for sponsorships for your league, because you got to rebuild. People don't want to touch you after the shit that happened last year. You have to rebuild confidence that you are not that side of Activision Blizzard. You are Overwatch League. You are separate. You are a league. You're trying to build a good game and a good community. And you have a lot of people that watch and a lot of people that want to enjoy your stuff. And you have a very impressionable and good market base that advertisers could become a part of for X amount of money. That is how you make your league money again, because the streaming market has become tight. There are biggest streamers on the platform. Kai Cenat's a great example, where he just broke the sub record, does not have a Twitch deal. There are many streamers that are way fucking bigger than your whole league combined. Make probably more than your whole league combined, that don't get streaming deals, because the streaming market has learned that there's only two juggernauts in the moment. There's Twitch and there's YouTube. And YouTube went out and spent a bunch of money, and they're kind of in the wait and see phase now. They're kind of like waiting to see, like, will their investment on those communities, like the Tim the Tatman communities and Lupo and stuff like that, they're trying to wait and see if it's worth it, right? Like, let's say a year comes by and they're like, okay, we saw a bump in our streaming after signing these people. Maybe we'll sign more. But right now they're wait and see. Twitch is not signing anybody. And I know that because I have an agency now, and I've thought about the ideas. Nope, they're not signing nobody anywhere. And there's also like the whole Kick universe now, which was like, putting the opinions of Kick aside, it's actually kind of a good thing to have more competition, because it creates pressure in the industry to not have a monopoly, because monopolies mean that they get to dictate the price. If you have internet in your area, you'll know what I'm talking about, where you have really shitty internet and there's no other options. Well, they have a monopoly in your area. There's nothing you can do about that. You're just fucked. Streaming is kind of the same world. If Overwatch League was smart, that's the route I would have went, and just not signed. Would have went exclusive to anybody. I mean, maybe there's something that'll come out in a week or two that they sign another exclusivity deal with YouTube or something, because like that's what Overwatch League does. Overwatch League chases the dollar signs, and they don't care about their growth. They care about short-term gains. They don't care about long-term gains. Which, you know what, the league takes money to run. I can kind of understand that. Like, you need to go get the bag, you need to go get streaming rights, because a lot of those big NFL and NHL teams, one of their biggest ways of making revenue is not only just like ticket sales, merch sales, but those TV deals. Those TV deals make goddamn big money. And I don't know. I don't watch cable TV. None of my friends watch cable TV, but like that's what actually makes them money. That's what most of the boomers watch. Most of us don't watch that shit. So like, you know what I mean? Like, if they wanted to go and get eyeballs, and then they could have sold those like impressions, those eyeballs, they've been around for 4 years. I'm sure they have some data on conversions of, if there's sponsors of their league, how much do they sell? Like, I'm sure Cheez-It did something when they did to Cheez-Its, were sponsoring that whole playoffs, and like everyone was talking about Cheez-Its for like 3 months. Like, I'm sure they have some data on that they could bring in, they could market, and they can sell it. But they goddamn fucked it up again and went back to YouTube only. They have so many creators that want to work with them in their game and expand and make it better. It's just like, how many times can you smack your head on the same wall, knock yourself the fuck out, and not realize, maybe I should stop running into this fucking wall? Go around it, bro.
It's like a bird. It's like a bird, just like it's like a glass wall.
Just every day, just a bump. It's just like, come on, guys, you had such a good opportunity. And I heard, and I like you said, I heard a lot of the games were actually a lot of fun, and they were actually interesting, and they could have got people interested. But like, and then I even heard just the icing on the cake. They don't even have like token drops too, which is like hilarious, because like that was part of what inflated their viewership after they went back to YouTube. Oh man, dude, I just can't help but just sit there and be sad. Seriously, like, stop getting in your own way.
Fareeha,
Oh,
I
and
mean,
just to top
go
it
ahead.
all
Yeah,
off,
yeah,
one
yeah,
last
yeah.
sec. One last thing. I gotta finish this. I've been cooking this pot. It sucks to look at games like Apex and how cool it is to watch ALGS because you get to hear everyone's POV. They all stream. And not everyone streams, but most of them stream. So you hear their comms. You get to really build up and like be a part of them and hear what's going on. Big Corpa Overwatch would never let us hear comms and let us hear the passion of gamers. One fuck, and they're just gonna go bananas. $5,000 fine, like you know what I mean? Like it's so bullshit at this point. They don't want us to relate to them. They want to put them in their own separate box, and that's the failure. Because I can relate to some of these players. Like Infected's a good example. I played with him in my games all the time. I'm pretty sure he lives like I think he lives like in New England. Like he goes to school and shit. He's just like most of the people that were in this chat. And it's like you could relate to that and build like be like, yo, like this kid's awesome. This like, you know, like this 60-year-old kid's fucking sick. I love this guy. He's got a good attitude. He's a friendly person. He's actually like one of my favorite people getting ranked. And unfortunately, he's a tank player, so I don't see him that often anymore. Like, because you know, but like, dude, there's so many opportunities to build these things, and they just fail in every one. And we were the first to do it in 2019 with the viewer system, where you can look at everyone's POV and different OBS spectators. And we lost it to YouTube, where they have 50,000 bitrate cap and they stream at 6,000 bitrate, 1080p, and their professional league looks worse than my stream on Twitch, where I'm capped at 6 or 8K. Like, are you joking?
They don't
Dude.
stream it. They don't stream it higher bitrate on YouTube.
No, you ever seen a mid fight? It gets a little choppy. It looks terrible. I don't know. I don't actually know what the number they stream at, but it looks terrible sometimes.
No,
And it's like,
I'm just saying that blows my mind. They'd have to. Like, it's one of the only like big things that YouTube would advertise like as a streaming platform is like the higher bitrate that you could. That's wow. Okay.
the one thing they have in their pocket, and they don't even use it. So like,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Build a mud brick house with those pixels.
I mean, it's
Like-
just another sad case of like short termism again, right? Because like the whole thing you're talking about, like take the cash on the short term, get the streaming deal. It's like what you would see like a streamer do for like a big payout because they don't give a shit. Like ultimately, they're like, I get like, you know, whatever I would make for my stream, I get from the platform. Easy clap, let's go. But that's not the priorities for a league that you plan to run for, you know, 5-10 years and fund all this larger infrastructure around. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like it kind of, I hope he won't object to me relating this metaphor, but it kind of reminds me of when Jane went to Facebook Gaming and then he like came back afterwards. He was like, yeah, that was dog, man. That was like, I took the money and I ran, but that was it. Like that was
He
like,
admitted that though. He was like, I went
he
and got the
literally,
bag
like,
and I came
yeah,
back.
he's-
You know what I mean? Like that's
he
fucking,
literally-
everyone's like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no
and
problem.
it works for a creator because you're an individual who's like, I got the bag, I got a bunch of money. Like it's a job, right? But it's like for a league, it's a whole different proposition. You're trying to create like a, again, we there's a lot of talk about creating like a, you know, a Dota or League of Legends-esque thing that's been around for like 15, 20 years of like people watch their tournament every single year. In fact, the tournament does incredibly. Like the pro scene of these games do better than the game. Like everyone watches the final tournament. Not that many people necessarily play because especially as the trend of esports and gaming is that like as your audience gets older, they don't necessarily stop loving the game. They just stop being able to play the game. So I see this a lot in StarCraft 2. There's my bingo card. I see that a lot in StarCraft 2 where it's like the people who watch the game, they don't play the game. I myself actually the same. I don't play the game anymore. I don't have the time. I got other shit to do. I'm making Overwatch content. Other people are like older and have children and lives. But you still love the game. You love tuning in for like the special stuff. So like the older you get, the more important it is to keep that engaged audience that keep tuning in year after year after year because they love your game. But if you prioritize like getting a check off of YouTube for like 2 years, whatever, dumpster the engagement from your audience for favor of a quick check. Again, it's like that short termism again. But Fareeha, like, what's your feelings been on like kind of the whole pro scene and all of
It's
this?
such a young industry, and it feels like they're trying to rush success. But like, the league has literally required a multi-million-dollar buy-in from everyone participating, and you can't expect an immediate turnaround. They were on a really, really, really good fast track just with how quickly they developed those Twitch tools. Like, I think the best thing that I've ever seen in Overwatch League was literally that replay viewer, that viewer that lets you switch your own POVs. Because the thing is, I completely agree with Flats. Esports has a unique trait that you don't really get with like action sports. And the thing is, right, is it occurs on a like on a platform, on a technological platform, that you can pull all these things like voice chat, like a person's POV. You can't really expect that on a soccer field, right? You can't really hear all the callouts that they're making. You can't get like a Lionel Messi POV cam, right? That would be epic, but you can't. And the accessibility of the Overwatch League that year, I think it was 2019, is what helped it succeed so much, which is what helped it take off, helped more people get into it, and like whether it be the accidental lurking of like your favorite streamer just went off, and you see this big play Overwatch number right in the tens of thousands, you're like, okay, I'll tune into that for a bit, and then it's like, oh, I get drops, cool, I'll stick around for a little bit. It's all those little things that they failed to recognize were the factors for how the Overwatch League was succeeding in those first few years, and then they just dumpstered it when they went to YouTube, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm sure we can continue this formula. You know, we'll get quality casters, and we'll keep production, you know, tight, and all those things. And it's like that plus COVID, boom, dead.
That's how it be. But to be a bit, a bit more positive and optimistic, the Pro Am is a step in the right direction, right? We can't necessarily overhaul.
Absolutely.
We can't overhaul overnight, but this is what we were kind of asking for. We've been on this podcast. Remember, like SK.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah, I remember SK kind of saying publicly, she was like, well, Overwatch League kind of killed competitive esports or for Overwatch, right? And like part of the reason why was we didn't have these stories, we didn't have these narratives. Sam, this is the beginning of that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is for sure. I would say that I wouldn't say Overwatch League did. I think the move to YouTube was a mistake. I think that was the bigger one. I don't think the league. There were plenty of narratives in the league before it went to YouTube, and there was still like the big contenders league. There was Gauntlet. There was all this stuff. There was all this interest. I think the switch to YouTube, who was just not ready, was the big one.
They had Super. They had the biggest streamer in our game. They literally could have just turned on his team's comms, and they probably would have just like increased the viewership of those games by like 40%.
Yeah.
And like,
well,
just nope.
And in good news too, actually, believe it or not, in the EU AM, well, basically they first told me I couldn't stream my POV of the tourney. And shout out to Brad, who then came in and was like, no, you absolutely can stream it. We're letting these guys stream it. It's way more interesting. And I got to stream it with comms, no delay. And that was a massive, massive improvement. And that was way more fun because people got to see like what it was like, especially when you're in, map 4, map 5, and it's just like, the reason why I love competing so much is I'm so ADHD and impulsive that like everything I do, I constantly have thoughts like just going on in my head, right? But when you're competing like that, everything's quiet. You just get in the zone. You just see what's in front of you. And it's just giving people that perspective will make it's so much better. It's so much better. So I think Flats, they're starting to get to that and they're starting to realize it. So hopefully they keep down that path of, again, community empowerment. It's exactly what we were talking about earlier. The more that you enable your community to create, the more valuable your product inherently is. So it's just, I really hope to see them continue to do the stuff that they're doing. They're on the right track, in my opinion.
It's nice. We've got like a couple of running themes in the podcast unintentionally, which is just like, yeah, engage with your community, work with your community, let them feedback, build your own product for you, and
cycle life.
Fuck Corpa basically is our second theme, which is just like, fuck your short-termism. Like, look at the bigger picture. Please open your eyes. And again, this just really goes up to the people above and beyond Team 4. This is like, the higher ups who decide all this. Like, and they won't listen. Obviously, they don't listen to this podcast. Team 4 does. Exist. No, they're like, who Miguel? Like so it's more just us expressing ourselves. Whether it changes or not is completely out of our control, unfortunately. And the numbers, I guess, will dictate all. But we still cathartic to come out here and sometimes be like, this is dumb. You're dumb. Okay, well, I know, Sam, you've got some stuff to go soon-ish. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap up towards concluding thoughts. So season 4 is on the horizon, guys. I'm excited. I'm sure you're excited. New heroes coming, so we're gonna have that again, and hopefully that will be part of what engages the community once more. So what are you looking forward to season 4, big picture? Like, what do you want to see them do? I'll start us off with Sam.
New hero. I'm excited. I mean, obviously learning new stuff is always fun. For me, I love the personal challenge of like trying to get like really high rank on every hero in the game and having a new tool to play with, or I guess it's almost like you're getting a new Hot Wheel as a kid, right? And you get to just drive that little sucker around. So I'm excited for that. Excited to limit test a little bit more. I'm excited for more, I guess, competitive Overwatch to make its bounce back. I really, again, my big thing is like this game is at its best when you're playing it with your friends. And for me personally, like playing with my friends and taking it to the next level. I've been gaming like this for 10 years now. Holy, oh my God. I guess yeah. So it's just being able to do that and see like the competitive scene progressively improve is sweet, because I know how so many of these people work so hard for so long, and I want to see them thrive. So for me, season 4 definitely the new hero, the competitive scene, more collaborations. They confirmed there's a new one. The One Punch Man was so good. Oh, it was so good. I was dropping skin codes in the tournament chats. But spice it up, man, spice it up. But I think they're on the right track. I want to give a big shout out to the balance team again. They got to make it for how crucial I was to them for a very long time. Whenever they get it right, you got to give them the pat on the back. You guys did a fantastic job in season 3. You all should be very thrilled with how you did. I know. I think maybe the Mercy changes were a little off in my opinion, but look, you guys are batting in the 90s, and that's really, really, really good. So congratulations to the balance team. Hoping to see more from them going forward, and I think that's it for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
and no
100%.
map pulls. No map pulls. Let's freaking go.
Which we already know, so that's great. Thank God we don't,
Yeah.
because Samito sent me a picture earlier of Sakurel, which we'll save for another time.
can I
Then, Sam. We'll save for another time. Don't worry, Sam.
yeah.
That map isn't going anywhere, so you can save your cooking Sakurel rant for another
At least
another
fix
episode.
Fix the spots where I can't interact with people. That's all I ask.
Okay, Fareeha, how about you? What are you looking forward to most season 4?
I'm looking forward to whatever new voice lines they add in the events. Like I love the more character driven and lore aspects of the game. I've been playing more ranked, got 2 roles back into GM, so that feels good. But honestly, like I want to delve more into supporting the creative parts of the game and the community, like the people who make concepts, the people who make like mythic concepts, or do say like tier lists, or just any sort of, you know what I want to do? I want to do comedy roasts. I want to do roasts of like Overwatch mains and stuff like that. I think that'd be hilarious. But yeah, just bringing out our own fun in this game, because I think that's how we can add a bit more life into things when things are stale. But I'm still excited to see whatever new stuff they have for us.
100%. Flats. He's cooking.
I don't know if I want to.
Come on, Volcano. Here's some baking soda. You've been cooking all freaking all podcasts. Go for it.
I'm honestly not that excited. I'm a little more nervous than anything. A new support hero is nice. I think support. I'm not ready to launch the war yet, but support feels a little too strong. I actually think support is probably the defining factor in a lot of games right now. So I'm not really ready to go in that. And typically, when a support is added, it kind of breaks the game. So I'm not looking too forward to that. But honestly, I need something big. I need something big that kind of brings me back a little bit of, you know what? Hey, you know what? Maybe we're in a good spot here, because I'm gonna keep it a buck for you guys. As a streamer that's been playing this game for so many years and growing my audience here and try to always look for like the best stuff, I'm getting a little tired. Sometimes, like, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Because sometimes, on both sides of the argument, it's either you're a bootlicking Blizzard lover, or you're, if you hate this game, just leave, right? And it's like balancing between the two is really, really hard to always want what's the best for the game and game for everything. But it gets really, really kind of demotivating watch at the beginning of the season. Blizzard probably shelling out thousands of dollars to all the big streamers to come in, play the game for 2 hours and peace out. Meanwhile, we kind of beg for weeks, months to get like one community tournament. And then like, it was a good tournament. Like, it was cool to watch. I ended up watching. I didn't play in it. I actually think Lulu's tournament was phenomenal. Dude, Sam, I entered those games like crazy, dude. I was like,
so hard too.
Dude, I was barely alive. So my camera was off, so people didn't see. But like, I was playing it at one point like this, because like my left eye was really watery, and I jumped Warren on high ground, and I had like the right click Winston combo lined up, and I was like, how did he not die? I watched it back later. I fucking missed. I was like, what? I thought I nailed him, but like my right eye had a little bit of water in it, and my left eye was closed. So like, the water made it look like I nailed him, but it was to the right, and I was like, I went like so deep. I was like, how the fuck did he not kill him? Like, I thought like ML came in and saved him. Nope, I just missed, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm stupid. But it really does feel like uh, they don't really give a shit about the people that are actually dedicated to this game and legit care. They just want new audiences, new people to come in and play. So they get more numbers, more monies, more people buying the battle pass, more people spending money on certain things. And to the point where like we're kind of now that Overwatch 1 or sorry, Overwatch 2 is launched and we did all the hype for them and we kind of helped them like market the game and like people be like, "Hey, come on back. Like this game's actually good." Now we're back to like kind of almost being trash again. And to be honest with you, that's really really pissed me off.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to spitball this. I don't know if I can let this slide. I have to add my own story here, Flats. I'm gonna have to tell you guys something. Which is like I'm gonna be positive after this, don't worry. But like, you know, the streamer awards were really awesome. They were hosted by like QT Cinderella and stuff. Like it was a streamer led initiative, right? And it was huge. It was like getting the numbers that it got. I didn't even like some crazy amount of views. Like it got like 5 million or some crazy shit. Like it was an awesome event, and it's just great to see the power of just content creator driven stuff and just communities coming up with stuff, right?
She did, by the way, from the behind the scenes, like not everybody got to see. Top notch. Security was crazy good. The check-in process was awesome. All the people who did all the interviews, top tier people. It was helpful all the way through. The wait staff, the food, the drinks, like they went the after party, which you know it had its own little thing, but like everything was all out phenomenal. She killed it. I will tell you right now, but it really made me realize that as Overwatch streamers, we are who make goals. But sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right. It's very good context, and it's great to be able to have you to be able to kind of, you know, go out in the wider world where again you're like the big fish in the sea right now, and then you go out into the ocean and you're like, what the fuck? This like nobody even knows who we are. Nobody even knows what our fucking game is. Like nobody gives a shit about us.
You know, Clicks from Fortnite.
Yeah,
he was on my table. He asked me if I was a Valorant streamer.
Oh. I mean, it just shows you as well. As much we've gone a long way. Big props to the devs. We've come a long way, but we've still got a ways to go. But I have to stick the knife in a little bit, which is that like it's for like over a year. I've been trying to talk to the dev team to do an Overwatch Awards. Like over a year, I was like, guys, this was back in like Overwatch 1 when we were dead, and I was like, guys, here's a way that we can generate some hype. Let me organize an Overwatch Award show. Best educational creator, best tank streamer, best DPS streamer, funniest clip, best returning creator, like newcomer, whatever it is, just so many, like best Overwatch League casting duo. I was like, I think the community fucking love it. I think it's great to celebrate our creators because, especially when we were doing this, when I was suggesting this in Overwatch 1, it's like, we don't get a lot of love, like the creators, they stuck around this game for 6 years. They could have fucked off to Valorant at any point, like when it was all hype. They deserve some recognition. People deserve some time to like, to applaud their achievements and the time they've given to this game, and I think it would bring the community together. I begged them for like a year. I begged them. I was like, guys, just give me like a little bit of backing. I don't need like a shit ton of money. Just help me out. Just put this somewhere. Just put a forum out, let people vote. I'll do everything. And I just sit there every fucking like month and watch them dump money into some fucking nobody streamer who gives no fucks about Overwatch. No, zero fucking fucks about Overwatch. Plays one game, gets like 100K, fucks off, and never turns back. Probably badmouths Overwatch to their chat every day. And I just sit there and I'm just like, there's no fucking way you guys couldn't give me this one fucking thing. After all this time, you couldn't give me one fucking thing to make this event for the community, to give us something to like celebrate amongst ourselves. No fucking way. And I've been molding over this one quietly. I haven't said a word, but I've been molding over this one quietly. And I just like, every time I watch these tournaments come up, I like a part of me dies inside. Where I'm like, there's no fucking way you guys are going to keep dumping money into like everybody that's not an Overwatch creator, and you're not going to do something for us. So I have to drop that. I'm sorry, and I apologize, but I have to drop that a little bit. Beyond that, which is a very odd note turn.
That hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that hurt. That hurt right here.
It's painful, dude. It's really, really painful. I don't want to. Sorry, go ahead, Fareeha.
Oh no, I'm just saying, goddamn.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying something. No, I apologize. I don't want to bring the note negative or anything. I don't want to turn about me or anything. But I just,
no, you're not wrong. You're literally spot on. Like I talked to people at the Stream Awards, and we talked about Overwatch, and that was actually what they said. Like I'm not even fucking with you. Like, oh man, dude, I feel for you, man.
It's just a little bit painful, especially as someone who like sometimes people like SUB organize stuff because you're the guy who organizes stuff, and I'm like I would do so much, guys. but I can't. Anyways, the side note. On the other hand, I've been enjoying Overwatch a lot. Having said that, I've been having a lot of fun. Again, making my own fun. Like I said, I've just been really enjoying learning new heroes. But that's also why I don't grind hard, because I find that like you start grinding this game for like a couple of weeks straight on the same role, you just start losing your mind.
Turn to Sam.
Like,
Oh yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Start pissing everybody off on Twitter.
Literally, right? You start losing your mind a little bit. Like it just has that effect. Yeah, Sam, you save your own.
That was the last one. That was like that was not what I was expecting.
Listen,
nor what I meant.
I don't mean
to
to.
get on the chin. It's my fault.
I don't want to hog it from you, but I actually have something I really want to say.
Yeah, please.
Can we stop the fucking Twitter impression farming? Like, we don't make any money off Twitter. Can we stop? Like, why do we just keep poking people for no reason? Like, I'm so sick of the passive aggressive, like, bullshit, kind of like low key shitting on each other, like, and then being like, haha. Like, I don't use Twitter that often, but for me on the outside, I lose so much respect for people when they do that shit all the time. And it's like, just fucking stop. Like, it's so annoying. It's cringy. It's like, it reminds me of high school. And I was not one of those people in high school. I did not give a fuck. Like it just stop. Like, I hate like poking people just for fun, just for little bits of like, we're gonna target this person or this community or these people. Just stop, dude. Like, what's the point? Like, there's a reason why the greater gaming community doesn't give a shit about us. Like, when COD complained, like when they talked about snipers and like they were like, oh, we shouldn't have snipers in pro play. All like Dexter, all the big all the news outlets covered it. They don't cover Overwatch. Why? Because they don't give a shit. They don't respect us. If they covered us for all the stupid shit we said, it would just be nonsense at all times. Like, honestly, just cut it out. It's so annoying. And like, I don't mean that towards you, Sam. I know there's a lot of stuff there. I know, like, I know how you are. I know you're a great dude. You do a lot for a lot of people in the shadows, and you don't actually take credit for it. And I really do respect that in a lot of ways. Just, I'm so sick of it. And it's not you. Like, there's so many people who do this. It pisses me off.
You're entitled to it. Like, so let me say something real quick. First of all, my bad. That was not my intention at all. Like, so my thought process was I was trying to gas up the Ana gals, right? What's really funny about it is nobody asked me why I tweeted it, because have you ever heard some random shitter try to flame an Ana girl in ranked, and the Ana girl just comes back and cooks them? It is top 10 moments. So like that happened in my rank game today. So I was like, I'm gonna gas up the Ana mains. Ready? I just chose the wrong terminology, and that's on me. I shouldn't have stirred the pot there. But also,
no more stirring the pot of anything. Like, I love you, Sam.
That's fair.
Just nobody.
But also,
like, there's no point.
I am not sexist. I just want to put that out there too. Just absolutely. I get what people are saying. That's my fault. My bad. Won't happen again. That's why I didn't really say anything after that. My bad. That's just my bad. That's all I got. My bad. But I am coming for the Reaper players next. I got to do one more. I have really good.
Flats is like, stop.
It's one more. It's really good.
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it everywhere. I'm so sick of it.
I do want to give Fareeha the chance to chime in as well, because Fareeha, you kind of weighed in as well. Do you have anything you want to add?
This is why we need the roasts. We need to be mean to everyone equally.
I volunteer myself. I'll go first if you need to roast somebody first. I give you a lot of subject material, so.
I do feel that there's a lot of like role wars that occur in Overwatch, and I was actually ranting about this in my own chat the other day, where people were like, SCB, because I like Fareeha, actually I've been on my little challenge as well to get all my roles to GM. I got 2 down, so I got tank and support to GM, master 1 on DPS. So when this stream ends, I'm hit that next placement, finish the whole bingo card there. But people throughout when I've been flexing, people keep coming in like, oh, SCB, this is the hardest role, right? This is the real hard, like DPS is the hardest role, right? Oh, support is the most skillful. And I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Like, they're so different skill. Like, everything is so different. The whole thing about Overwatch is that like all the heroes are different. So many, like, even within the role, they like venture so many different skill sets. Can we? Yeah, I'm with Flats on this one. Can we just stop the whole
me
like
incarnated? Just shut the fuck up. I'm so sick of it.
Literally, I'm just like, just get
incredible need. Yeah, there's this incredible need to compartmentalize and label everything as like meaning something or not. And I feel like Overwatch Twitter is so guilty of this in an extent, because they have these repressed feelings of frustration that they need to let out, and they just look for any venue that they can do that with, and it's just, ugh. painful.
Yeah, and I think it stokes these wars as well that I'm not a fan of like, oh, this hero is better than that hero. Like, we have our opinions, of course we do, and as content creators we're going to express them, but like, I know exactly what Flats is referring to, which is like the deliberately bait. Boger's in chat. Boger, fuck you. The deliberately bait tweets of like, you know, and I know Boger's to troll, so that's not Boger.
Boger is
like,
trolling. I love Boger, but I'm honestly so sick of it. Like, even, in general.
Yeah. We should stop. We should stop this. Like, just stop trolling each other for content, guys. Like, there's better ways to do it. Like, we can do better than this. Like, we can do better than this. Like, just stop trolling each other for content.
Yeah, are we that fucking bored at this point? Is that what we've hit? Because like that's sad. Like, you know what I mean? Like
real.
Yeah, new hero. Yeah, so that hopefully, yeah, we can reset now, and hopefully, you know, I'll post this on Twitter, and hopefully we can start a movement to shut the fuck up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to season 4. Looking forward to what's happening. Again, I've been enjoying it, but I just think the only way you can consistently enjoy Overwatch is if you start changing stuff around. Like, I don't think it's a game. Like, maybe peak Overwatch 1, you could be like, I'm just gonna grind this like role or this character endlessly, and it'll still be fun. I feel like now I always have to switch it up because I need something different. So new hero, something different, and I look forward to that. And I look forward to, yeah, whatever else they've cooked, whatever collaboration they got planned. Maybe they've got modes that are coming. I don't know, another Loverwatch type thing. I look forward to it, and I hope that they implement some of the stuff that like you guys were complaining about as well, particularly like Flats. You know, I hate to see you kind of down on this, buddy, and I would, you know, I kind of sense that, like, you know, I would hate. I'm gonna be real, actually. I'm gonna be fully 100 here. Like, we've seen so many like people become huge Overwatch creators, and then they just get tired of this fucking game and they leave, and then they become like variety creators. And if that's your path, buddy, do you? Because you've been you're at that echelon now where it's coming, and I wouldn't at all be surprised if that's the best decision for your content. But man, would it suck to lose you as an Overwatch content creator. So I hope that you know. I hope that the game cooks and that you don't feel the need to leave. But if you do, it's been a good ride, buddy.
Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, guys. On that note, we're gonna peace out here. So thank you very much for listening. Fareeha, Samito, anything else you got got to add?
I'm all good.
Okay, well, we'll be back soon to stream,
I'm getting
guys.
some donuts tonight.
Yo, Duncan, get that one Duncan. That's good for you.
Weak take. I'm sorry, weak take.
No,
Maybe they're different up in the Northeast. That's cap though. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's an L. I'm gonna have to tell my other person who likes Duncan. I need to send this clip. I'm gonna have to send it to her and say Duncan equals not as good as Krispy Kreme. That's all.
Just
we don't have we don't have Krispy Kreme up here.
Sucks to suck.
The closest one to me is in the MGM Grand in Connecticut. That's like a 3-hour drive. Like I ain't going 3 hours for some Krispy Kreme.
Oh God.
Oh, well,
God. I'll see you all.
See you guys very much.
Alrighty.
Thanks for joining, guys. Peace out. Go show these guys some love. Thank you very much. Peace.